Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is Monday night. It is time for Revolutionary Change. I'm Jen Perelman.
I'm Peter Hager. And, you know, Jen, we, over the past hour, I think we're doing everything in our capacity to put as many relevant stories together, since we all know that things happen in rapid fire. Rapid fire.
Rapid fire.
Well,
yeah.
there was a story that we were going to open with, and now we're not going to open with it. Let me just fix my thing quick, because you know the importance of looking professional with the
vanity. Yeah.
Vanity. Talk about vanity. There aren't many times in life where we get to celebrate, even in the face of trench warfare and endless killing and bombing all over the world. But we can safely say now, as it has been declared in the last few minutes, that maybe the one person in the entire Israel Netanyahu Milikowski brigade, that if there is one person who truly is worse than him, Ben-Gvir is dead.
Really? Are you confirming that?
1,000% confirming it. He was killed in a drone strike by Iran.
Oh. This is where I start to hate people for making me feel good about this. Like, that is so wow.
Colin, can
I feel demented. Like, I feel sick and demented that I feel like this. This is
honestly,
not okay.
I am disappointed in all of you guys at how putrid the audience number is right now. So smash that like button. Get this out there. You did? Oh, let me see. Okay. So I want to point this out, because this is very important. When you think about Ben-Gvir and what this animal of a human, if you even want to call him that, represents, this is one of the last prominent articles written about him within the last week. Israel wants to execute Palestinians, and the world will allow it. A bill legalizing the execution of Palestinians is being pushed through the Knesset. International indifference paved the way for it. The Israeli Knesset is pushing through a bill that, if passed, would allow the occupation authorities to legally execute Palestinians. This development has attracted hardly any international attention, but for Palestinians, it is yet another looming horror. The bill is part of the deal that allowed the formation of Bibi Netanyahu's coalition government in late 2022. It was demanded, Jen, demanded by Ben-Gvir, now National Security Minister, not anymore, who has led a reign of terror across the West Bank for the past 3 years.
Why is it not coming up on the? Where are you seeing it? Why am I not seeing that?
It just happened. Like, it just happened.
All right, that's awesome. Again, I'm disgusted that this pleases me.
In November, that we got to this point is hardly surprising. For decades, the international community has neglected the fate of Palestinian prisoners. In the past 2.5 years, there have been almost no global reaction to the mass brutalization of Palestinians held in Israeli jails, with or without charges. Israeli efforts to legalize executions of Palestinians is the logical next step in eliminating the Palestinian question. Well, one question that we don't have to worry about anymore is whether or not this subhuman bastard, who I've always known.
Verification. I'm not finding it.
Okay, well,
I'm not saying that I don't trust you. I'm just saying that we're going to all sort of need some verification on that. And I don't think I've ever felt that good. I don't think I've ever felt that good about anything in the past couple of years. Really, I'm really, it's messed up. Yeah, people aren't finding it. So where did it come up for you?
I just have certain contacts in X and places like that, you know, just share the information.
Okay. Well, until we get like the official.
So somebody pulled this from one of the Israeli media spots. The Israeli media reports Itamar Ben-Gvir died in a car crash, while in fact he's been obliterated by an Iranian missile strike on his home.
What was this? Who said that though? On X?
So somebody that I trust on X said that what's basically being shared in Israel is that Ben-Gvir is in fact deceased, but that the way he was killed was in an automobile accident.
Okay.
Not this way. Colin, can I pull this up, or do you need more time?
I mean, look, yeah, I mean, whether or not, well, I'm hopeful that this does turn out to, in fact, be true, because
the House of Israel, Israeli Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir is reportedly on fire from an Iranian missile. His condition and whereabouts remain unknown. So apparently, yeah, just as Jerry Seinfeld likes to say, yeah, it's a shame. But what this tells you, and what it should tell you, is that, so you took out the Ayatollah? We're going to take out everybody. Ben-Gvir is just the one who deserved it the most. And so
I don't know. Now you're talking about how many angels can dance on the head of a pin, or how many Satans can dance on the head of a pin.
It's true.
I mean, yeah. If it's, look, I hope it's verified by the end of the live. We'll see some verification probably on something somewhere.
Yeah, but, I mean, this literally just dropped like a few minutes ago. So,
see, now somebody's saying not true, unfortunately. So I don't know.
Again, I don't need anybody telling me it's not true. All I'm telling you is that this is information that's been out there for over 14 hours. That this house was struck 14 hours ago.
But we don't know that he was in it, do we?
Well, again, was he in it? Was he not? They're saying that he's dead. If he's not dead, then he would have probably already come out and made a public statement to the effect of, they tried to get me, but they couldn't get me. And of course, there has been.
That's true. If he weren't, no, he wouldn't be faking his own death.
Gvir, no chance. Remember, Netanyahu got out of there right before the bombing started and went to, of all places, Berlin, because of course, why not? And then after the shoot, because remember, the one thing about this warfare, ladies and gentlemen, most of the activity takes place in the dead of night. So when the sun rose, Netanyahu decided to go and do his photo op in Tel Aviv after a bunch of bombs dropped and said, you see what they're doing to our people? They're killing our people.
You see, so if you look up right now, so 2 hours ago, Times of Israel has a headline that says, Ben-Gvir seeks to appoint ally David Bodley as police's legal advisor.
Of course, and they're going to keep pushing that stuff out there. But again, like I said, there is no denying that Ben-Gvir's home was obliterated by an Iranian drone. Now, do you really think the Iranians, with the technology that they have, with the backing of China, with the backing of Russia, and the backing of North Korea, that they didn't know if Gvir was home or not at that particular time? I'm sure they did. Remember, they're so demented in the sense that they don't understand that the world is done. Like, they're done. And they should be.
The only people that I feel bad about really are the Palestinians.
Of course.
That's the only, I mean, yes, there are some very few people in Israel that are the refuseniks, that are people that are not, supportive of this. But those people also understand how the rest of the world feels about their country.
They do. And they are also a minority in terms of number.
They know that.
And what I would say to this end is, I'm not gleeful cheering it on, but I have no sympathy.
For what? You're not gleeful about what?
Well, I mean, listen, the fact that Gvir, assuming that what I'm reading is
if correct, he's dead, that does actually make me feel gleeful. And I'm like, livid that I feel that way. Like that's how fucked up this is to me and how abnormal. Because I can tell you, it does, like, thinking that when you said that to me, I'm going to go back and wait later and look at the recording, but I know that my face lit up and it was a completely natural reaction of glee.
Well,
and that's so demented.
No, I mean, he's the equivalent of Himmler being killed. That's basically
Yes.
who. And
yes.
I mean, this is the commandant. Like, this is the guy. This is the guy that was basically he was the he was the leader of the SS. Like, that's what Gvir did.
This was the guy that went and to defend the rapists that were being held, that were being accused even within their own unit of rape and being held. And he's the one that went with a whole mob to the detention facility where the IOF soldiers were being detained and like broke down the fence and was defending that they should be allowed to rape prisoners. So yeah, I got to tell you, if it's true, and I'm hopeful, again, I hope it is, because yes, it makes me feel gleeful. I don't know. That's a good question.
Unfortunately,
that's another one that would feel good, but not as good as Ben-Gvir.
Yeah, Daniela Weiss likes to talk a big game, but Ben-Gvir actually likes to go and shoot Palestinians in the head. I just hope that if it did happen, based on what I've been told, that it was very painful.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It sounds to me, if it was like that it was probably quick and not painful. And that's the only thing. But yet, it's still satisfying.
But if you were eviscerated in an explosion, assuming that you are, I don't think that that's going to be painless. I think that that's going to be extremely painful. It will be quick, but the amount of pain you'll feel before your body officially checks out.
I don't know. We're talking a whole other world of situation than we're capable of understanding weapon-wise. But I do, and I did see people and they're saying, oh, well, was his whole family there? And you know what? I don't care. I don't care if his grandchildren were there. I don't. I would have cared about that before my mind was completely warped and demented by bearing witness to a genocide. So now that this is where the Overton window has shifted, I can just say, I wouldn't give a shit.
And I also think that it's fair to say that if you thought that the war wasn't real yet, if you thought that the actions hadn't actually precipitated what we are in now, which is a full-scale war, if not an outright world war, now it's a real war. And now, more than anything else, Israel is in deep shit. And we have been saying it for a long time, that this was simply inevitable, that we were simply going to come. Very often in life, you don't get to that moment, that specific moment, like in a storybook where, oh, wow, everything changed. Everything now has changed. When you think about who Netanyahu's true right-hand man actually was in all of this, this is the guy. This is his Heinrich Himmler. This is who was taken out. So that's a big thing. And now you really have
I hope there's more to come. Here's hoping that's just the beginning. And there's more to come.
Well, I do believe it's just the beginning.
Good.
And as Lee Argent says,
good.
You got a big fat target on your back now, Smotrich.
Why do you think? Look, Netanyahu's a coward ultimately. So that's why he would leave.
Yeah.
He's a coward.
Unfortunately, where do you think they're all coming, ladies and gentlemen?
Not where I am.
Well, no, not where I am either.
Exactly.
But they're going to New York, they're going to LA, and they're going to Miami. They're probably going to go to Miami because that seems to be the place where they're the most accepted. But hey, then everyone will know exactly where they are and where they can be found.
So, again, as long as they're not near me.
Let's hope not. And now it leads one to believe that in this current predicament that we're facing, we are facing the prospect of dealing with some type of a false flag.
We will, and we've been having pretty much nonstop. They're just not as effective because people are seeing through this crap. But yeah, it's going to happen. And there's some ways you can tell when a false flag is coming, right?
Well, now when something like this happens, and being that they're going to look to do some type of retaliation, because the one thing that Israel realizes at this moment is that they have no real support in the West, especially from this country. They have the Capitol Hill apparatus because they've bought them all off. But in terms of where people actually are and what they believe, no, not at all. So when Fox News starts putting out this slop, you know that you have to keep your defenses up.
An alarming report of threats outside Iran. ABC News reports Iran may be activating sleeper cells. Quote, the U.S. has intercepted encrypted communications believed to have originated in Iran that may serve as an operational trigger for sleeper assets outside the country.
Really?
Sleeper cells, huh? Sleeper cells.
Now that I think about it, and there have been books that have been written about this for many a year. You really have to wonder when they say sleeper cell. To me, these are all CIA fronts, aren't they? I mean, pretty much, right? After all these years.
Well, they're assets. At a minimum, it's assets. It's people that are doing their bidding, just like the same as the people that were the 9/11 people that did that. So I'm not saying there aren't people in this country that are here to do terroristic things on the behest of other people. I'm just thinking, one, the calls coming from inside the house, and two, it's not the Iranians. That's what I think.
So, especially on Fox News. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of the people in our orbit probably who do watch Fox News will still buy this bullshit. But at the end of the day, this is, again, they're playing the same playbook that they've done for the past generation plus, and thinking that this is still going to work. But it's not.
But here's my question for people to ponder, right? Let's say hypothetically it's true. Let's say Iran, exactly. Let's say Iran had sleeper cells of people in this country just waiting to be activated to do terrorist things. Okay, let's just say hypothetically that's true. Yeah, that's what happens. If you don't like that, then you know what? Don't fuck around. You don't want to find out, don't fuck around. It's so easy. If you don't start no shit, there won't be no shit.
Don't start
not complicated.
Nothing.
If true, further illustrating Secretary of State Marco Rubio's point, we are fighting a terrorist government.
The United States is currently engaged in an operation.
First of all, the two freaking henchmen that he's got standing behind him.
I can't. Okay, what's so absurd, we're the terrorists. And everybody in the whole world sees it. Everybody else sees it.
Yeah. And this dumb shit thinks he's running for president in 2028. That's the funny part. That's the real
Marco, little Marco.
Targeting one of the world's leading hostage taker, the world's leading sponsor of terrorism. They are trying to hold the world hostage. They are attacking their neighbors. They are attacking neighboring countries, their energy infrastructure.
Oh, and by the way, since you and I have not discussed this, but when you talk about they're attacking their neighbors, well, if we're going to get into that, we're going to have to talk about Jon Stewart. And I've been avoiding that because it's extremely disappointing. And I feel like I shouldn't be disappointed at this point. But yes, no, Iran is not attacking their neighbors. They're attacking us. And what's going to happen is their neighbors who have been our bitches are not going to want to be our bitches anymore because we're just causing them nothing but grief and we're not helping them. And when this is all over, we will have no more bases in West Asia. And that will be the end of that. And then who's protecting Ziohel?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well,
yeah.
By the way, have you ever noticed how big Rubio's ears are? Like, I find them like disturbing.
They are big. And as someone who is noticing my own ears growing, I will tell everybody, if you do not know this, your ears and your nose do not stop growing because they're cartilage, not bones. And that's why when you see so many older men and women they tend to have really big ears. And so one of the things that
Well,
I
hold
always
on.
notice, yeah.
Well, hold on. You telling me that it's not from lying? I mean, I know they say the nose grows from lying like Pinocchio, but who says
Well,
the ears grow too?
it might exacerbate it. That's true. But no. And so everybody in life, obviously, you want to start out with this smaller nose and ear situation because it's the only thing that doesn't stop growing, right? So if you start out with slightly bigger ears to begin with, yeah, by the time you're retired, you could take flight with those. So, I mean, that's just what's going to happen.
We'll finish.
Their civilian population, they're attacking embassies. This is a terrorist government. This is a terroristic regime. And we are seeing them conduct terrorism using nation-state elements, using weapons like missiles and one-way attack drones. And the objective of this mission is to destroy their ability to continue to do that.
But Iran's
And Marvin, sadly, as a urologist's wife, no. However, I will say that gravity is not any of our friend regarding some of our things hanging, okay? But as far as things growing, no. Sorry.
Now, when you want to talk about trench warfare and what countries are capable of doing, this is a small taste of what Iran is actually capable of doing. They don't need false flags or sleeper cells. In fact, this may be what brought about Mr. Gvir's demise.
Iran has begun using a new kind of weapon, and you can see what it does right where I am. You see that small hole in the roof of this building? That's where a small bomblet penetrated and then exploded inside this apartment.
Pause.
Totally devastating the apartment. So
Did he say bomblet?
Bomblet, yeah.
He said bomblet,
Is
like
that
a
weird?
droplet, but a bomblet. Okay. I just wanted to understand that now we have bomblets. Okay,
Well,
continue.
think about it. What he's basically showing here, if you look closely, is that the drone bomb made its way through here, and then by doing so, exploded the entire area surrounding it.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's a cluster of those. So for every one hole like that, each one of those clusters has it looks like dozens. It's hard to tell from the light pictures, but like dozens. So that means, and each one of those does this and then explodes, is what you're saying.
Yes.
devastating the apartment. So even though the bomb itself was small, it did a lot of damage. And these are these new cluster bombs. And up until now, Iran has mostly been using drones and ballistic missiles, and Israel and other countries have had a tremendous amount of success shooting them down. Ballistic missiles in particular fly in a very predictable pattern. They have a single, very large warhead. These cluster bombs are more like shotguns. They explode midair and then drop lots of little bomblets, and they are very hard to stop.
Okay,
You
I'm
love the
getting
sun
it, people.
yourselves.
I hear you, Brian. Bomblets are not new, but you know what? It's new to me, and it's ridiculous because it makes it sound cutesy. Like, isn't that so cutesy, the little bomblet?
We're just going to
Like,
kill him
what
a
the
little
hell?
bit. We're just going to kill him a little bit.
It's just stupid.
Little
I find that
shrapnel.
ridiculous.
Well, it's, again, they brought this on themselves.
I
And now-
have no, yeah. Oh no, I have no give a shit.
Nope.
None.
I don't either. I think that this is to be expected. And this is
Yeah.
why we are now facing a situation where the president of the United States is stuck. Like, he's stuck. And he's not going to know what the hell to do.
Who would have predicted this? All of us? Every guest we've had? Everybody at the Eisenhower Media Network? Like, anybody with a brain, anybody watching? So, yeah, he's stuck, all right.
Yeah.
But now the problem is I don't think that I don't think he and his people took Iran seriously.
No.
I think they thought they were just going to keep getting away with this. And we were saying this is not going to happen, and they're going to level Israel. This is what's going to happen, and they're going to level Israel. And yet, this is where we are. And now these stupid motherfuckers think they're going to send ground troops. That's what they're getting ready to go do. They're all going to be coming home in body bags. And they know it, and they're going to do it anyway.
And the other thing that is also being pointed out, which I find very interesting, and this is something that you pointed out right when this started, is that Iran has been preparing for this for multiple decades. Multiple decades. They have prepared for this.
Oh, yeah.
So one of the things that they had also prepared for was the cost analysis that it was going to require in order for them to accomplish what they are accomplishing. And by that measure, the amount of money that they are spending compared to what we are spending, because again, Israel doesn't spend shit, they spend our money. So what we are effectively spending to fight Iran, I mean, it's like a 10-to-1 ratio. It's an insane number of how much money we're wasting compared to them.
Yes, and that would be a good reason to have one of the Eisenhower people on, like with those figures, because they are very interesting. So for each one of Iran's missiles, they're spending, like, it's some small percentage of what we're spending to defend those exact missiles. And so we're going through so much more defense money in the defending those missiles than they're spending in sending those missiles. So yeah, that's where we're at. And by the way, we're going to run out, and they're not going to run out before we run out.
So what are they going to do then?
Well, exactly. Again, which brings me back to why I've been saying that Israel will cease to exist. They're going to get obliterated.
Colin,
and I'm here for it.
Colin, please pull up the article.
Which one are we going into? What do you want to go into now?
I want to address Trump and
okay.
how they're stuck.
Okay. There it is.
Trump says the war is very complete. Very
okay,
complete.
And this was updated. This is from 5 o'clock this afternoon, Eastern. Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. It's one thing for him to boast, which he always does, but he's considering taking over the Strait of Hormuz. Who in the hell is this guy?
This is what he'll do. I swear, this is what I'm thinking he's going to do. This is how he's going to take over the Strait of Hormuz. He's going to hold a press conference. He's going to take a Sharpie, and he's going to cross out Strait of Hormuz and write Strait of Trump on it. Be like, it's mine now. It's mine.
So
that's how he's.
It's the Strait of it's just the Strait, straight out of Trump. You know, get it? Straight out of Trump.
Oh my God. Yeah, so he'll take it over by renaming it in our textbook. So all the kids are going to grow up with it renamed. Okay, so let's talk about how quickly he was put in his place with that concept.
In a phone interview with CBS News Monday afternoon, because of course, why wouldn't he speak to Larry Ellison's organization? This is probably the only people he speaks to outside of Fox News. President Trump says the U.S. war with Iran could almost be over. Almost be over.
Almost.
Yeah. Ben-Gvir was just assassinated.
Wait. I love this the next sentence is so good. It's right out of De Niro and Jackie Brown. Go ahead.
I think the war is very complete. Pretty much.
President
said, speaking from his Doral golf course, because of course he would say it from the golf course.
The war is very complete. Pretty much.
Iran has no navy, no communications. They've got no air force.
Oh
Their missiles are down to a scatter. Their drones are being blown up all over the place, including the manufacturing of drones. But a few of them get through, you know, that's what happens.
Okay. Let me ask you this though, seriously. Do you think he knows the truth? Or do you think he believes that's what he's told and he believes this?
I don't even think it's a question of whether he believes it. I think he's just a guy who lives moment to moment. It's like, depending on...
No. But does he believe, what I'm saying is, do you think he believes that they've actually reduced Iran's program and their missiles and their, stockpile, their stuff? Does he really believe that they're able to stop them? That's what I'm curious. Does he believe that, or is he lying?
I'm not sure. I'm really not. I mean,
their drones are being blown up all over the place. The amount of money and resources we're spending to blow up each drone is so much more than the cost of each drone. And Iran has been stockpiling for decades for this.
The U.S. military said it struck over 3,000 Iranian targets in the first week of operations. Let me tell you something. One of the things that they just did, and we're going to get to it in a minute, as the closing.
Obviously, this is, CBS News is this is hilarious.
Yeah, that they get to 3,000 targets. Did you see what they did in Tehran with blowing up the oil reserve tankers?
I heard. I didn't see.
The type of war crimes that Israel and the United States commits. Let me tell you, we're going through a speed run to the end of this empire. Israel's going to fall first because Israel is being absolutely destroyed. And now that Gavir is out, trust me, it's a smoke signal to all of them that you're all targets now, all of you. And you got nowhere to go. And we couldn't be happier.
I am really, yeah.
This is going to be one of the most humbling, embarrassing moments in U.S. history.
Yes, and what it's going to do, this is going to reset the globe in the same way it did when the British Empire ended because of all the damage and the losses from World War II, and it became us. This is that next shift.
Yes.
This is that, because we are not coming out on the other side of this and having any real standing or power of any kind in this world. It's just not going to happen.
If you look, they have nothing left. There's nothing left in military sense.
Yeah. Wait, do people know we've been blowing up chalk drawings and inflatables? Do people know that? We've been blowing up chalk drawings
on the cement. That was Israel that did that.
And inflatables.
Yep.
Inflatable tanks and inflatable stuff. That's what we're blowing up. Their stuff is so far beneath the ground, our weapons can't reach it. And the launchers that they use are mobile, which is why we can't find them. It's the same thing that for the same reason we couldn't shut down Ansar Allah in Yemen. They use mobile launchers and we cannot find them. So this is where we're at. So I don't know what he's talking about.
Iran announced that Ayatollah Mujtaba Khamenei would replace his father as Iran's supreme leader. Not a surprise. Yeah. How's that toppling of the regime going in Iran for you guys?
Okay. We killed the one person, the supreme leader, the one person in Iran that was basically standing between the rest of their government and the nuclear weapon, because he didn't want one. So now what you did is, so now his son, who is more radical than him, is in power, and you just killed his father. So I'm thinking that that's not going to go over real well.
No.
Just a thought.
Definitely not. Any more, Colin? And I have no message for him, none whatsoever. Adding that he has someone else in mind to lead the country. Yeah, Trump is demented. Like he's like demented at this point. He's living.
Well, if he's going to control the Strait of Hormuz, he might as well name the next leader of Iran. And here's what I'm wondering: like, is this one of those situations where, like, behind the scenes, his people are telling him, yeah, you can do that, you can do that. Okay, all right, well, and like maybe he believes it, like a toddler in the Truman Show kind of thing. Like, I have no idea.
Commercial shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, though, which about 20% of global oil supply flows, has effectively grounded to a halt. The president said the U.S. could do a lot about the strait and threaten Iran if it inhibits the waterway. They've shot everything that they have to shoot, and they better not try anything cute, or it's going to be the end of that country. What does that mean, Donnie boy? What does that mean? Going to drop a
really?
nuclear?
And how exactly are we going to do that when we no longer have any bases surrounding them because they've destroyed them?
The president also said the strait is open now and claims ships have been entering the strait, but said is still thinking about taking it over. No, it isn't. The strait is closed.
Closed.
Gas prices have shot up $1.50, $2 everywhere. Mr. Trump initially estimated the war would take about a month to complete. We're very far ahead of schedule. Same afternoon, the president said the war is very complete. The Department of Defense posted on X, we have only just begun to fight and no mercy.
Yeah, so, you know what? I am a believer very much in the idea of karma, right? Like what you put out is what's coming back. And I agree. And I do agree. And there will be no mercy. I agree. I think that's where we're at with people that have been nothing but gracious and honorable with us for decades. Yeah, you can push anyone too far.
We will conclude on this line, which really sums it all up. Asked whether he thought the war could wrap up soon, the president said, "Wrapping up is all in my mind, nobody else's." Well, damn it,
that
Donnie,
I agree with. Again, I agree 1,000% with that. It is all in his mind and in no one else's. That is true.
If you want to talk about getting it right, on that point, he got it right. It's all in his mind.
Absolutely. See, I told you he's the most honest liar ever. It is. You can't make this stuff up. So Trump's taking over the Strait of Hormuz, and the war is pretty much over. Okay.
So they say. Now, speaking of false flags that we can absolutely verify because we know how these things typically go, they really do not like Zohran Mamdani as the mayor of New York, Jen, do they?
No, they do not. And apparently there was a bevy of activity outside of Gracie Mansion a couple of days ago. And I have some questions as to the origins of said ruckus.
Shall we do clip or story first?
Well, I think the story is better to go first in this one.
Colin, pull the story, please. And Jen, you will do the honors, please.
You want me to read?
I think you can.
I can. I mean, I can read.
If you would like.
I learned a long time ago how to read.
No. Colin. And you guys understand why I give him shit. It's not because I don't like the guy. I love the guy. But, hey, business. We're not saving Colin from shit. The article about the bombing at Gracie Mansion, or the attempted one. Pipe bomb, some bomb, dumb bomb.
Okay. Homemade. All right. So this is right out of the mayor's administration. Don't mind the thunder. I have an open window. Out of Mamdani's administration. Homemade bomb thrown at protest near New York City mayor's house. Police say. Okay. Again, so as somebody who's very aware of propaganda, always recognize when your source is the police. Police say. Okay.
Jen, the police would never lie. Don't you know that?
The counter-protester accused of throwing the bomb was one of 6 people arrested after a clash with anti-Muslim protesters led by the right-wing activist Jake Lang.
Can we put
what the hell is with this guy? Why have we? Where is he come? Like, I feel like the past couple of months, all I hear about is this guy. Who the hell is this?
So Jake Lang, who's probably a Fed as well.
January 6th.
Well, no, he was the guy. Well, yes, he was part of J6, but he was also the guy that showed up in Minneapolis trying to start like a race war. And then he ended up getting completely like bum rushed by a handful of people. And then you had that one black guy who was standing and defending him.
Right. Okay. And then wasn't he also, he was somewhere and he was like kicking down an abolish ICE sculpture.
Yes.
And it was like hard for him to even get it knocked over. Is this the same pathetic loser?
I think it is.
Okay. At least one counter-protester threw a homemade bomb on Saturday during a violent clash with far-right protesters outside Gracie Mansion in Manhattan, the police commissioner Tisch said on Sunday.
Well, you have to already take that with a grain of salt.
Well, again, which is exactly preliminary analysis of the device by the police department's bomb squad found that it was not a hoax device or a smoke bomb, but an improvised explosive device that could have caused serious injury or death. Amir Balat, 18, the counter-protester accused of throwing that device and another smoking projectile, and Ibrahim Nick, 19, who is accused of supplying one of them, were arrested on Saturday. The police said no explosions or injuries from the devices were reported. Charges against Mr. Balat of Langhorne, Pennsylvania, and Mr. Nick of Newton, Pennsylvania, had not been determined as of Sunday, the police said. Officers also arrested 4 other people, including Ian McGinnis of Philadelphia, who pepper sprayed the counter protesters, charged with reckless endangerment. The turbulent scene in one of New York City's swankiest neighborhoods began with a plan by the far-right provocateur Jake Lang for a Stop the Islamic Takeover of New York City demonstration near Gracie, the Upper East Side home of New York's first Muslim mayor, Zohran Mamdani. So he actually, they're putting out this like whole Muslim takeover of the city thing still. Are they going to, again, are they forcing halal? I mean, like, what does that mean? Mr. Lang showed up with a goat and about a goat. I told you guys, all problems start with a goat. I shit you not. Every effed up story has, and there's a goat and about 20 followers who were wearing American flag hats and freedom sweatshirts, echoing the slogan on a shirt worn by the slain conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Exactly. I think she was supposedly demoted, but she wasn't. There was just somebody put in between her and him. But as the day wore on and the crowd of counter protesters shouting at Mr. Lang grew to more than 100, tensions swelled. One of his fellow protesters sprayed mace at a group of counter protesters, sending some doubling over in tears. Fistfights broke out among the crowd, and raw eggs flew in the air. This sounds like almost like a party. Then a counter protester threw 2 smoking objects, one of which landed on East 87th Street in flames, prompting protesters to run for cover. This is crazy. At least one of the devices was made from a jug that contained a sports drink bottle filled with explosive material, as well as bolts and screws and a hobby fuse. That sounds like a nursery rhyme. Bolts and screws and a hobby fuse. According to a senior law enforcement official who was briefed on the matter, but was not authorized to discuss a continuing investigation. So then what's his purpose? Why were you briefed if you're not able to discuss? What is your purpose? Why do you get a paycheck? Why do you live there? The FBI's New York office later said it recovered 2 suspicious objects from Gracie Mansion during the protest, and that its Joint Counterterrorism Division was investigating the matter alongside the police. Ms. Tisch said on Sunday the police were working with the FBI to further analysis. The mayor and his wife, Rama Douaji, she's lovely, were not at home at the time of the protest. Okay, this is good, blah, blah, blah. And the attempt to use the explosive. Okay, so here's the problem I have with this. All right, we can be done with this, Colin, and this is why. This is the only people reporting this come out of the police department. So I already kind of don't believe the story to begin with. You have to, anything that's put out by, I hate using the term law enforcement because let's be real. But that's not necessarily accurate. But I do appreciate that they're trying really hard to create such a problem because of the Muslim takeover of New York.
Here's what actually went down, courtesy of our friends at Status Coup.
That's a QCX. Make America great again. Yeah. Look at that. So, please, guys, please help yourself. No, not yet, not yet, not yet. When we get over to the mansion. Oh, okay. Not yet.
That's so rude. That's so fucking rude, you disrespectful pig. And I'm not talking to the roasted animal that is sitting there. Okay. That's just so disrespectful. This is someone who really needs an ass kicking of gargantuan proportions. This is someone who needs to like mouth off to like Anthony or Greg Stoker or someone like that. That's what I would like to see happen.
Well,
because this guy is disrespectful as fuck.
And he's got a Nazi haircut, like a legitimate Nazi haircut. Like that's how he cuts his hair. So, shocker.
It's edible though. Oh, it's great. Oh, you guys are gone. Free the goat! Free the goat! Back up! Don't do that. No, we ain't throw shit. Thank you. I got 2 of them.
Question is, who dropped it?
You know, I was just going to say, I see people in the chat talking about Tish, and it's true because, you know, the fact that she's still in his administration and that's the spokespeople that are putting out the statement from his administration, it's disturbing to me. It's disturbing to me. And it's not like a selling point for him right now.
There's probably somebody in his orbit that basically told him you can't get rid of her. That's probably what was told. Said, I know you want to get rid of her. I know you want her out, but she's basically untouchable. Like you can't do it. At least not yet. That's not to say that he won't at a later date attempt to. But for me, Mamdani gets more than a passing grade for what he's done so far as mayor.
I agree policy-wise, but he is still allowing Empire to basically have its tentacles controlling the narrative, controlling what his administration is doing, and certainly controlling what the police are doing.
He also needs to be in a position where he can absolutely put Hochul in a box where she can't do shit. He's not there yet, but he is without question much more powerful than the governor of the entire state by grassroots power. That may not be enough yet to supplant her in terms of actually executing policy. But I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I like the way he's moving and the fact that, again, he's the mayor of New York fucking City. I mean,
all right, so you can give him the benefit of the doubt, and he's playing somewhat of a long game in terms of what he needs to do as far as Kathy Hochul. But what I'm saying is the fact that he kept Tish on is problematic.
But I don't agree with you. You see, that's where the rubber meets the road. I think he wants to get rid of her, but I think there are people around him that have said you can't get rid of her. Like,
it doesn't matter what the reason is. She is still inside the house.
Yeah.
The spook is in the house. And that is who is putting out this information. So that to me affects the credibility of what's coming out of his office regarding this particular situation.
But remember that timing is everything, because, and again, I see this in the inverse, because remember, LBJ did not remove RFK as the attorney general immediately. It didn't come until the spring of 64 or summer of 64. So he was still there for a little while before RFK ultimately decided to run for senator of New York. But at the time, if he had just removed, RFK in, let's say, December of 63, it would have looked really bad. So I'd like to think that Zohran is biding his time right now. That's my
look. I appreciate your optimism and your very half glass half full approach to this. You're giving him the benefit of the doubt. You're giving him grace. I ran out of grace a few years ago is the problem. So for me, I sort of anticipate that he's basically with them, and I'll be happy to be proven incorrect. Like, I'll be pleasantly surprised to be proven incorrect, but yeah.
The one thing I do want to say here, which I think is important, who in the F is Jake Lang that he's able to get barricades up in New York for them to do this march?
Hence why it's an inside situation.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think you're wrong. I think it's very plausible.
And it all comes down to the goat, people. I'm telling you, this is why, Rachel, this is why there's never going to be goats. All problems. I'm telling you, there's a goat involved in the story somewhere. Telling you.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And because of leaders like Zohran, we get that much closer. Could you imagine if Mayor Adams was still in charge of New York City? Could you imagine if Cuomo was in charge of New York City?
Well, you wouldn't have had a goat. I mean, you wouldn't have had a goat parading through.
Probably not. But to better days, we. If you're enjoying this conversation so far, which we hope you are, please consider going over to patreon.com/revolutionary change for as little as $5 a month, or no money at all if you just want to be a part of the chat. You can become a supporter of our small but mighty, yet still suppressed, but still growing channel. We passed 113,000 subscribers the other day. Thank you all for continuing to push the message out there. We really appreciate it. And of course, we want to get to our supporters for the evening. Big shout out to Citizen Pendejo with the 20 pesos. Jessica Tish is neck deep in these Zio false flags.
Yes. I mean, and
Well,
Peter, I think, is just sort of hoping that Zoran's aware of it and is just sort of letting her, he's giving her enough rope to hang herself, is sort of your thought process. And I am not optimistic like that.
one can only hope. Willie Bragg, great to see you, pal. Guys, subscribe to the Willie Bragg channel on YouTube for the $10. Happy Monday, Jen and Peter. Thank you for showing up to my birthday live stream last week, and forgive me for being too alleviated. I had a blast just the same.
Thanks,
We're always
Willie.
happy to be there, pal. Absolutely. Lesbian dance theorist with the $5. Don't feel bad. F that guy. He never spent a day in jail. He got the easy way out. Yeah.
She's referring to
Gavin.
Mhm. And again, we still have not had full I am not comfortable with the confirmation lack thereof as of yet, but we will see.
Citizen Pendejo with the 50 pesos. Thank you for the cool news. For some reason, I can explain. I know St. Peter won't call Ben-Gvir's name. Guilty. Viva la vida. One is one of my obsessions. Great. Thank you as always for your support, my friend. Marvin Vargas with the $2. Fail IDF op in Lebanon. Has Radwan unit got IDF?
Oh, nice. Thank you for sharing that. So failed. Apparently there was a failed operation in Lebanon, and Hezbollah unit took him out. That's what it looks like to me. And good. And Hezbollah is definitely damaged from a couple years ago, but yeah, they're fighting.
Well, if there's one thing that we are going to discuss that is not getting much fanfare, we're going to discuss it later this evening, is what is actually going on in Lebanon. And if you think, again, this is why, watching Israel, I mean, you think we spiral? You think we're spiraling? Israel really is spiraling like a dying tornado. Like there's really no other way to explain it based on what they're doing now, what they're trying to do. But we'll see. We'll see how much longer it lasts. And finally, JS, oh,
just so you know.
Just so you know.
Just so you know.
How do you know that that's what that is?
Because it's J is just, S is so, U is you. No. Just so you know. 01. How do I know? Because it just.
Guess Jen's better at anagrams. What can I say? Thank you for becoming a YouTube member. We really appreciate it. And of course, patreon.com/revolutionary change. We appreciate you all. Jen, who are our esteemed guests for this evening?
Okay, guys. So you know that we are friends with Lila and Pat over at the Punch Up Pod. And I was watching and they had guests on, both of them live out in California, but right now there's an initiative going on in California. And it's California United for Single Payer. And we've talked about this before. It's been a while since we've talked about single payer in California. We've talked about it in Washington. We've talked about it in New York. We've talked about it a lot. But there's an action coming up. And we have Mark Norberg and Gina Viola, who I also know from my friend Matthew Solomon's documentary. So we need to bring them in. You do that? So yes. Mark Norberg and Gina Viola. Is it Viola or Viola?
You can say either. I say Viola, even though Viola is appropriate, but I answer to either. Thanks.
So, so welcome you guys. I know that you have an action coming up, and I definitely wanted to give you platform to promote. So why don't you go ahead and introduce like what this is, like how you're going about it and what the action is, and then we can chat.
Do you want some background on single payer
policy?
Whatever like what is single payer healthcare? Okay.
No, you don't need to go all the way back to what is single payer. We know single payer. We're that far with you. That we got. We're a single payer people. So just explain the California legislation and where it is in the initiative process.
Okay, great. So we in California have a bill called CalCare, AB 1900. It is a single payer healthcare bill for the state of California. So Medicare for all for California. Think of it that way. The nurses have introduced this bill, CNA, that's the organization that's written the bill, authored the bill several times before. So this is not the first time we've had a bill through the California legislature. And we know that if the bill gets to the governor's desk, Gavin Newsom's desk, it would be political suicide for him not to sign it. So what Gavin Newsom has done is he has killed the bill earlier and earlier in the legislative process each time it's been introduced to avoid having to make that call on his own. So what we're doing with this day of action is we're making sure that the public knows there was in fact a bill. I mean, California resoundingly wants single payer. By many metrics, as many as 81% of Californians want a single payer bill. So this is incredibly popular, which is why he has to kill it early. So I'll let Mark talk a little bit more about the day of action itself, but that's what we're doing. We're trying to bring some much needed public attention to the fact that, guess what? California, we have a single payer healthcare bill. By next year, we could have single payer legislation for our state, and we need it. So.
Yeah, and thanks so much for having us on your show. It's a real honor to help us spread what we're doing. So the Ash Caller has introduced this bill. We're going into this very clear-eyed. The chances that the Democrat Party is going to let this pass is very, very slim. I mean, they're run by corporations. There are a million ways to Sunday that they can kill this. They're not going to let it pass. I mean, maybe if enough pressure comes to bear, but this has been buried. It's not on any news channel. You ask most people, like, what? There's a healthcare bill? So what we're trying to do is shine as big of a spotlight on this as humanly possible, so that A, we can put as much pressure on them as possible, and two, get as many people in California watching this, so that when they kill it, we can go, all right, guys, are we done playing this game? And then, take all those angry voters, all those angry organizations, and stay together and build out this coalition and go for a ballot measure or some other outside the legislative process path to getting to this ultimately passed. So, this group that came together, there was a previous CalCare bill about 2 years ago, and we all kind of came together hodgepodge, and we tried to fight it. And there's a lot of optimism. We really thought it was going to pass, and it didn't even get out of the first. It was crushed in the healthcare
second committee.
Second committee, crushed in committee by Buffy Wicks, and it was devastating. It was devastating, and we licked our wounds. And then after about a year, we said, okay, enough of that. Let's get together. We held a summit of organizing leaders. We were hoping to get 20, 30 people. We had 70 organizers come together and say, all right, we're done. Let's do something. We decided to formally organize an alliance. We are not a new organization. We are simply a coalition, a structure to bring people together. So we're California United for Single Payer. And we opened our doors. I mean, it took us about 6 months to write our bylaws and really figure out what we're doing. But about 3 months ago, we finally said, okay, we're ready. We opened our doors. In just 3 months, we have 13 organizations have joined. Healthcare for Us, Feel the Burn, San Fernando Valley, PNHP Santa Barbara, that's a physicians group, Fannie Lou Hamer Institute, that's a Black Lives Matter group, Hollywood for CalCare, that's out of the Actors Union, Our Revolution LA, Educators for Single Payer, a teachers union group, the IDEA Alliance, that's a group fighting for special education funding, San Gabriel Valley Progressives, Jewish and Allied Educators for Palestine, San Joaquin Valley Democratic Club, Democratic Socialists for America, and Asian Pacific Islanders for CalCare. And you'll notice there's a few Democrat and Democrat aligned groups in there.
I heard that. That was interesting.
And we said, listen, anyone can come into this group, but there's a few things you have to agree to. Number one, you have to agree that we are not going to include any for-profit healthcare as a part of any solution. You want to talk about insurance companies, there are a million paths out there, a million organizations that will help you have that fight. That is not us. Number two, you have to understand and agree that the Democrat Party is our opponent. And we are going to call out the Democrat Party and any other political party that stands in our way. And we're going to name names. And I'm telling you, there are so many Democrats that are so angry. And they're like, sign me up. I am happy to call out my own party. So that was where we're like, okay, but that is built into our bylaws. Like, we're doing this. And then to get into the group, just to tell you a little bit about the organization, 2/3 of the board has to approve you. So we have 4 committees on top of our board, we have a education committee, a communication committee. We've got a big social media team already up and running. We're just getting all kinds of platforms up. We have a coalition building group. All they do is go out. We've got lists and lists of organizations that are priorities. If you apply, it goes to our coalition group. They vet you and then bring a recommendation to the board. And we have our strategy team. And our strategy team not only helped us develop a strategy for this day of action, but they've got an entire year plus out plan on what we do if and when this doesn't pass, to build local centers of power, community centers of power, to really see how can we build a coalition where we can eventually become maybe not as big as the Democrat Party or as big as some of these larger unions, but big enough where they have to start listening to us. You know, that like 10% where they need you or they can't win. And so that's our immediate goal. Gina, have I left as far as sort of like...
I just wanted to say something. So we've had Ash on our show a couple of times, which is, I didn't think about it, but I would have maybe even reached out. So I know that he's been pushing this for a while. I think that's awesome what you're doing, because at the end of the day, building that coalition, that's where the mutual aid, that's where you start being able to do things as a community, even if this doesn't pass, because that is what needs to keep building up, because this might not pass, but then the next time it will, or then, you know what I mean? So it's just a matter of keeping that going. I think that's really, really amazing.
Mutual aid is the future. Absolutely. I mean, that's why we're going to have medical mutual aid at our event, at our day of action, because we know that, you know, we've started building networks of care. We're working with folks like the All Power Free Clinic to help fund that organization so they can go out and treat people. Because while we're sitting here waiting, you know, the city of LA, 7 people a day are dying on the street, 9 a day in the county. I can't even get the number for the state. Okay. And this is a healthcare issue. It's a healthcare crisis. The one other piece I might want to highlight is, you know, what we're up against are very entrenched Democratic players that have a coalition of their own called Healthy California Now up in the Bay Area that claims to want single payer healthcare. Okay, so they get the governor basically comes to them and says, I need you to green light this, this, and this. And one thing I'm thinking of is SB 770, which was a bill to introduce unified financing as a solution to our healthcare woes, which keeps the insurance companies around. And that is not single payer. That's Medicare Advantage, which is a disaster. So unfortunately, what we're up against a bunch of would-be progressive organizations like Courage Campaign, the California Progressive Caucus, even Working Family Party. You know, they get Healthy California Now is so entrenched with Gavin Newsom and with the Democratic Party that they can get sign-off on these things so that they can continue to run on single payer and never deliver it. Right, acting like they have these organizations that are working towards that. So part of the reason we've become an official coalition space with a C4 is that's what we're battling now. We're battling controlled opposition that has been running against us. So,
and just to tell you a little bit more about the Day of Action, it is a full...
When is it? When is it and where and all of that?
It's March 20th, right? And we specifically set that date because where's my calendar here? April is when it has to come out of the healthcare committee, right? So we want to hit right before them. The first chance they have to kill it will be crushing it in healthcare, and we want to make a big show to say we are watching you. We are not going to make it easy for you to bury this. So it's March 20th. It's on the west lawn of the state capitol in Sacramento. We are going to have, and something about our group is, while if you want to be a voting member, you know, 2/3 have to vote you in, but we will work with anybody, right? So anybody, any organization can be at our Day of Action. In fact, we have the Green Party is participating and Workers Strike Back is flying in, and they're both going to have booths. We're going to start the day with medical mutual aid, right? To showcase this is what we have to do in this country. We are going to have legislative visits, very aggressive legislative visits. So when you RSVP to the event, there's a bunch of check boxes asking you, what are you interested in doing? And one of them is, I would like to go out and lobby legislators. And then it's also asking, if the Democrat Party does not pass this, what are you willing to do? And it's all the way from, I will not vote for you, I will stop donating, I will leave the party. There's like 6 different things. We're going to take all that data and give that data to our people going on lobbying, right? So we're going to be able to say, 80% of the people out there will leave your party if you don't pass this. 60% will actively work against you if you vote against this. They will also have a people's summons. We are not going to do the normal kind of legislative visits where you go on in and you ask, can we please just try and, persuade you that this is important. We're going on in and we're going to deliver a summons saying, if you don't publicly support this, we are going to assume you are against it. And we are going to, that's what we're going to, silence is a no for us. And then we're leaving. We're not waiting around. Here's a summons. So that's going on. Then there will be, there's all of our CUSP organizations, plus, like I said, Green Party and Workers Strike Back will have booth spaces, right, to talk about their own individual organizations. And then we, of course, have our speaker stage, where each of the organizations will get up, talk about what they're doing. Our purpose is not just to push for the CalCare bill, but also talk about our alliance and build each of our members. And then we have our featured speakers at the end. We have Tina Fredericks from Pasadena School Board. We have Code Pink just joined. We don't know who exactly is speaking for them, but they're like, we are there. We will have a speaker. Dr. Melina Abdullah from Black Lives Matter, Kashama Sawant from Workers Strike Back, and Dr. Butch Ware, all speaking as some real powerhouse, like, take the gloves off, let them have it. And if we can swing it, a musical act to wrap up the day. So
I can come and do an interpretive dance for you. I've offered it for others,
but it's come for the whole day. Pop in for just the things you want. I mean, we're going to be there. And I think the last thing I really want to emphasize is, why is it important for people to care about what's happening in California? 1 in 8 people lives in California. And so the fights we have in California in many ways is ground zero for all the rest of the fights, because if we can pass single payer here in California, that is going to set giant dominoes falling, right? And so if you don't live in California, it's still worth it to support efforts like this, to support actions for candidates like, progressives or Greens or whoever running for political office in California. If California can be won by real progressives, we're the 4th largest economy in the world, right? We're like the 4th largest country. That will create huge ripples across this country. So those of your listeners that are like, well, I'm not in California, this is a fight. This is your fight. So anything you can do to help to spread our word, to donate if you like, all those things are really important for everybody.
That's how it happened in Canada, right? In Canada, Saskatchewan, one province passed, single payer, and within, very short period of time, the rest of the country went. So we know that this is a stepping stone to that. It's either going to be California, New York, Oregon, maybe Washington, like all those states right now are poised and ready for single payer. So we're all battling the same beast, unfortunately, right? The insurance industry.
And we see this as like really a proof of concept for what other states could do. So if you are not if you're in California, please contact us and let's talk about joining CUSP. But if you're not in California and you're like, hey, how did you guys do this? We are happy to sit down with anybody and get up. Washington United for single payer, Florida United for single payer, and we can show you the steps. I mean, we did a lot of very intentional things to build out these relationships and build that trust. And I mean, we're every week we get a new applicant, and we're growing by leaps and bounds, and the energy is palpable. People are really hungry right now for answers and solutions, and people working towards something that makes sense. We have very, very clear goals. This isn't like, let's go have a parade and say we hate Trump. This is clear goals that we can fight for and we can win. And that's very important to people. And we're seeing a lot of energy behind what we're doing.
It's building the new world, right? Like we know what needs to go. I was listening to your show earlier, the policing, right? The police get all our money.
We're going to get into that because I know this from the movie.
Yes, I remember. So yeah, in this world of abolition, somebody has to be building. And this is a tremendous step towards abolition. In fact, in the reparations task force report that came out, was given to Newsom years ago, which of course he's done nothing about. One of the very first recommendations for reparations was single payer healthcare for the state. So this is building the world that we want to live in, a step towards it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's really brings up a really good point. Like sometimes in these fights, people say, well, is this really what I should be working on? I mean, people are being abducted off the streets. It's World War III, right? Winning single payer healthcare takes a giant bite out of the corporate imperial power, right? Because one way, a huge way that they keep you trapped in these horrible jobs is healthcare. They don't want everyone to have universal healthcare because then you can tell your boss to F off and you can leave. Because your healthcare goes with you, and we take that power away. That's a win against these endless wars. I mean, think how many people go into the military because they don't have a choice, right? They want healthcare, they need a job. This is a huge chunk out of that, and so this is one fight of many, but they all intersect. They're all important, and it's really important that we don't let what seems like these big giant problems dissuade us from things that might seem like maybe smaller solutions. They're actually really, really important. A, because they do take a bite out, but B, because it's really low hanging fruit, right? Like 90% of people want this. This is like the first and easiest battle we can win. And then we win this and we don't go, okay, see you guys later, I'm going home. No, now we take that coalition and we go to the next big fight and the next until we win.
Peter,
I'm observing. I think that this is very
you have so much to say about healthcare all the time.
I don't have much to say about healthcare because I'm tired of talking about it. I think that this is an issue, maybe more than any other issue, that if you are not on board with it, you're just anti-American as far as I'm concerned. The only developed nation in the world that doesn't have this. We are getting screwed left and right in a myriad of different ways. But the idea that there is a for-profit health system, which basically determines that you will die for us to make more money. That's it's a sign of the times. It's a sign of the lackluster involvement that the average American has. But frankly, that has a lot to do with why the system is broken. California is a great example of why the Democratic Party, as I coined the phrase, and I'm going to keep saying it, voting blue will not save you. And California is a prime example of that. They talk all the time about how good, how much better. If we only had Kamala instead of, Trump, things would be so much better. Actually, if Kamala was in there, things would be a hell of a lot worse. You know why? Because the one thing the liberal class is very good at doing is putting this country to sleep. Kind words, fluffy surroundings. Oh, we're trying really hard to prevent a genocide. We're really trying to prevent World War III. Whereas Trump is, we're totally going to destroy the world. And that, of course,
Your Trump keeps scaring me. I was listening to your show earlier. I was like,
that are really good. That's
well, you bring up a really good point.
What if I was governor of California again, and then maybe I could have stopped single payer, which I did do back in 2005.
You bring up a good point about people. It's really insane that we don't have this. And I mean, to me, there's this huge ignorance around it because they work so hard not talking about it. So many people, especially in the liberal class, they do not understand what single payer is. And I say, look, there's two kinds of people in this world. There's people who know what single payer, there's people that don't know what single payer is, and there's evangelists. Because the second you know what it is, you're like, why don't we have this? It's insane. And so the thing is that, to your viewers, like, talk to people about single payer. You'll be stunned at who doesn't understand it. I'm in the union. I'm very involved. At the highest levels, people do not know what it is. And these are people making decisions. And so a huge part of what I'm doing outside of CUSP, which is, doing education with teachers, is just going around and doing forums and saying, you need to understand what this is. Because one thing that always comes up is, well, my union negotiated healthcare. I don't want to lose that. And it's like, there is no union negotiated healthcare that's better than single payer. None. You still have copays. You still have premiums. You still can lose it. You lose your job. It's gone. I mean, there's a million things still wrong.
I'm still convinced that the biggest reason why religious institutions are tax exempt is because that's the trade-off that they get from the US government when they say, and you will never preach healthcare in your congregation. Because if you do, that's the end of your tax exempt status. To me, I think it's really that simple. I think it's one nation. They say it's one nation under blackmail, but it's one nation under bribery is what this is. And when you think about the people that live in Palo Alto, Montecito, Santa Barbara, Calabasas, San Diego, La Jolla, if you will, those are the people that matter as far as those that are in Sacramento is concerned, because those are the people that fund politics. The rest, outside of basically 10 miles from the coastline, that's where everything happens in California. I was there for Super Bowl weekend and I went to Yosemite for the first time, which was an amazing experience. And by the way, I have no idea how much freaking money Tom Steyer is throwing into that governor's race, but it sure as hell is a lot, because if I'm all the way out where I can see Nevada and he's putting up these ads all the way in the middle of nowhere, you can imagine how much the grifting Democratic establishment class is taking advantage of his campaign, because he's just flushed with that freaking money. I thought to myself, all right, look, I know I'm in the Republican part of California. If he's putting this up there, I mean, you want to talk about just like blowing money? Hey, Tom Steyer, you want to be a governor? Why don't you say you're going to run on single payer health care? Then we'll see how much the Democratic Party truly loves you and how much they would want to support you.
Who else besides
Well,
Who else
supposedly he is. Tom Steyer has come out and he's actually used the words CalCare now this week. So,
okay.
And the nurses have already endorsed him. I mean, this man has money to burn. Like, we need a billionaire governor, really? Like, we need holes in the head. Like, this is just so far-fetched from anything we think we need. But he has said that he was wrong about single-payer healthcare and that Bernie was right.
Let's remember Newsom also ran on it at one point. I know,
exactly.
And it's like, look, if it's a Democrat, by the time they get in, their head is put on straight, and then suddenly they forget, right? So until the Democrat Party is not run by corporations, until they're not taking cash anymore, there's no way we're going to get it. I mean,
so
like you mentioned.
So in other words, hell has to freeze over.
We have 2/3 majority. We have super majorities of Democrats in this state, and we can't get anything, right? I mean, it's the cost of living is he's gone on record as he's not going to tax billionaires. They're blocking healthcare. I mean, cost of, like I said, no one can afford a house. I did want to mention, bouncing off something Peter mentioned about like churches not supporting healthcare. Every big giant organization that should be fighting for this, there's very interesting political reasons why they're not. Let's take unions, for example. You would think labor unions would be leading this. And what an amazing boon for labor unions to be seen as leading and winning healthcare for American citizens, but they won't, because they also have bought in to the fact that, well, if everyone gets free healthcare, why would you join a union then? Because the big selling point, they think, for unions is healthcare. And so you have people like Randy Weingarten publicly saying Medicare for all is terrible, right? But what they don't realize, and this
we have to comment on Randy Weingarten for a second. You can't bring that up and not have a comment.
Well, let me just finish my point and say that what my union brothers and sisters really need to know is, if we can take, I mean, when you go to negotiate, and we have to negotiate our contracts every freaking year, a huge, I would say half of that time is on healthcare. Imagine what would happen to negotiating if you can take healthcare off your plate. Now we're talking exclusively, and all that money's freed up. Now we can really just fight for, compensation and the services for our kids. That all that time is freed up. And so it's not going to diminish reasons to join the union. It's going to expand reasons to join the union. So I just want to make that clear, because there's still a ton of resistance inside unions because they've drunk the Kool-Aid, right?
Yeah.
It's like, this will be the best thing for unions to get
And
this.
I can
Sorry to
tell
interrupt.
you, and I can tell you that it really doesn't matter, because what you're pointing out is almost irrelevant to the point. The point is this: the unions, not all of them, most of them, are attached to the Democratic Party. And when the Democratic Party puts out their directive that you will not talk about this or your funding is kaputs, that's how this works. Randi Weingarten is a scumbag of a human, on top of the fact that she plays into that. I had a personal dealing with Randi Weingarten, so I could speak on this on good authority. And she's one of several. Now, you have a couple of union leaders who are out there who I actually respect and admire, like Sean O'Brien and Sean Fain, respectively, of the Teamsters and of the Auto Workers Union. Now, why are those two labor leaders, in my opinion, good? It's because they're technically not attached to either of the two major political parties. A lot of Teamsters voted for Trump. So that's a prime example of
We're not supporting Trump, just so you're aware of that. We're not
supporting me, so you better watch what you say.
We're not with him.
If you do not use your power, if you have leverage and you don't use it, you deserve to lose it. And that's ultimately what ends up happening. It's like the Sunrise Movement. When they locked arms with Biden back in 2020, that was the end of the organization. And now they're nothing. And rightfully so. And I would say the same to everybody else. If you are not willing to lose on principle, then you deserve to lose on everything. And that's the way that everybody should treat this. I participate in capitalism. I'm in commercial real estate. I invest. And single-payer healthcare is the single best policy that this country could use right now, period. And it's been that way forever. And I don't give a shit where you stand politically. If you don't know that the libertarian position is single-payer healthcare based on what is the most cost-effective way, the least amount of waste that could possibly exist within a given system, it's single-payer. So when I say I'm done arguing about this point, I'm done arguing with anybody who doesn't know it because you're too stupid to see the tea leaves in front of you. And it's like
arguing with creationists and flat earthers. It's sort of like we're just past that now, and it's stupid. It's stupid that we're still discussing that.
The only thing that is left to do, when it comes to pushing CalCare or single payer nationwide, you just need to show people how it benefits them in their wallet. If you can show them exactly how they save money, legitimately and logistically, that is the easiest way to sell it. Now, it's going to be hard to sell it through some of these organizations because, again, one nation under bribery. However, I do think that there are ways to tangibly show people that, hey, you're spending this amount per year on healthcare. Guess what? Under CalCare, you're going to save whatever the average person is going to save, $2,500 a year. Could you use an extra $2,500 a year? I bet you could. Considering what your rent is, considering what your groceries are, I bet you could use that extra money. And we have the chance here in California to pass this legislation. This is why I'm good at politics, because I cut through the bullshit. I have no fucking time for this, and no one else should either, because you should either know the issue or stay the hell out of it, and it is incredible. Let me tell you guys, considering how much of this we do, how many people are so damn sure of what they think they know, and they don't know shit. And that is incredible. Ignorance is probably the death knell of American culture, more than anything.
And yet seemingly it looks so good. Like, I gotta tell you, like, it really does look very blissful to me. And as someone who has not been able to like sleep in a few years, like really, like,
head in the sand to get some rest.
Kind of. Can we just, before you guys go, I want to just chat with you a little bit about the abolition thing. Is that okay, Peter?
Sure. If I could just mention something Peter just talked about. Yeah. You're exactly right with that savings. If you look at what just happened in New Mexico, right? They got free childcare. And the way they positioned that was they were like, can you use an extra $1,200 a year? And this is free childcare, and it passed resoundingly. I mean, that state is going to be the first one to have, free early childcare. So I agree with you. And we've been putting a lot of pressure on the nurses to give us a dollar amount, of what that savings looks like. So there's many different metrics we're kind of, pressed with. But the one thing we can say is that it's free at the point of service. No more copay, no more co-insurance, no more deductible, none of that. So,
and I think when people, and when people say things like, well, this country has that and it's not good and you have to wait for things and there's all this stuff, as if we don't wait for stuff here.
Right.
But the key thing is nobody's claiming that we would have the perfect healthcare system. Nobody claims, like, that's silly. But what we could say is nobody's going to have to file for bankruptcy from healthcare.
How about nobody's going to have
something
to
that other
die?
countries don't have.
How about nobody's going to have to die?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the ultimate. But when you're talking about, like, no country has it perfect. There's still going to be issues. There's still going to be waiting. There's still going to be problems getting things like it. That's just how it works. That's
let me say one last thing regarding Steyer, because I do think he has a chance. If but here's the thing: if he is committed, if he's truly committed to the cause, then he has to put his money where his mouth is. You have your lower tier candidates running for state, for representative, which is delegates in California, or whatever the specific term is.
Senators and assembly members.
Members and senators. If there are people that are running that you know of that are tried and true and they're going to push it, he needs to be backing them. He needs to put his money where his mouth is and be supporting those candidates that are going to help him in Sacramento get this thing across the finish line. He really means it. Let's see him fucking put his money where his mouth is and prove it.
Did you see how Butch Ware wants to implement, though? Butch Ware wants to declare a state of emergency and go around the legislature altogether and just.
That's how it needs to be done. That's how you do it.
And I love Butch, and I want to support him, but we have to be serious about this. This is California, and it's going to take hundreds of millions of dollars to get this done. And if you've got a guy up there who's willing to fight for, he says he's got. I mean, listen, Tom Steyer has the money. There's no question he's got it, and I have no problem if the person's going to do what he says he's going to do. Now he's got to prove it. If he is not willing to do that, considering how much money the DCCC and the DNC is clearly getting from his campaign, because Katie Porter is pretty much dead in the water, and that rhymed on purpose. I want to be very clear that at the end of the day, if he thinks he's going to be serious about becoming the governor and not pulling a Newsom and doing the same shit that's been going on for decades, put your money where your mouth is. Back the candidates that you know will absolutely fight for single payer through the committees and make sure that it gets to your desk for you to sign. That's it.
Love that.
Jen,
I just wanted to mention, so as soon as I saw you, Gina, both of you, but I saw you guys on Punch Up, and I'm like, I know her. How do I know her? I know her from something. So guys, for people who don't know, my friend Matthew Solomon did a movie called Reimagining Safety, and a month or so ago, no, it was at the end of January, we did a 2-day abolition event on this channel. And the Friday night we streamed the movie. And then on Saturday, we had some panel discussions with different people about different issues of abolition. And so it's something that's important to me. It's something I've been like very loud about, because to me, there can be no revolution without abolition. They go hand in hand. There's no way around it. And so I just wanted to point out that when we were talking before about this idea of coalition building and mutual aid and how it really is connected with all of those things, it's really connected with all those things, because when you have people that are supported, have a safety net, have community, you first of all, you automatically are going to have less crime, because you're not going to have crimes of poverty, and you're not going to have, which is predominantly what we call crime, is crimes of poverty. And so it's all connected. And I was just hoping that maybe, and also I know you ran for mayor. So I was hoping you would say a little bit about that, and maybe a little bit about the connection that you see between those kinds of services and how it works with abolition.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yes, I did run for mayor of Los Angeles, the second largest city in the country, and tied for third, knocked out a city attorney, knocked out a sitting city council member. Nobody knew who I was. It was the message that was popular. I was unapologetic, defund the police, Black liberation. These were the issues I ran on. In California, it's actually statewide now, but in Los Angeles, the Black population has been declining at an alarming rate. In the 2000 census, there were about 1 million Black folks living in the city limits. By 2020, that number is 400,000, a little less than.
Wow.
No other demographic has seen a decline, let alone that level of one. So why we're not making this the crisis of our city And that is now the case in the state, in the county. The county has seen a decline of Black folks, as has the state of California. So, this is really what I ran on. Which of course is abolition. I am an abolitionist, straight up. I became an abolitionist in the police commission meeting. I started going to the LAPD police commission meetings every Tuesday when I joined an org called White People for Black Lives. And the police themselves turned me into an abolitionist. I left one day and I was like, we don't need police. Like, I listened to them week after week saying, we don't want to go out on mental health calls. We don't want to deal with the unhoused. We don't want to deal, this. But as we remove resources from everything else and redirect that funding to police, there's nothing, you have no one else left to call. You're calling 911 for everything. I mean, this is what I say in the film too. So
it's true, though. It's true.
We need to make police obsolete. Right. That's the idea. So maybe if I had thought about the that word instead of defund the police, I might have gotten a little. Actually, if it wasn't for Rick Caruso, it would have been me and Karen in the runoff. Karen Bass. She would have clobbered me in the general, but I know that it would have been she and I in the runoff. But Rick Caruso, when he got wind that the movement was running a candidate, he got in the race because he wants to maintain order. I mean, he is our mayor. Let's face it. He's he's got, please. So yeah, there's this piece. When I was done running, I was like, I need to do something with the tiny pulpit I've built, with the movement that I have. Yeah. So I was like, single payer. I was like, what is an equalizer? What is something that will bring immense equity, that will restore, will keep Black people from having to flee the state, right? Because they can't get healthcare. So that's why I threw everything I had. Even my husband sits on the board of healthcare for us. Like, we've thrown everything we have into this organization because we fully believe that this is an equalizer, a quick equalizer, like no other. And then once we're healthy and vibrant, we will just need police less and less. Like, that is the way it's going to have to happen. It's not going to be this, okay, police are going to go away tomorrow. We just have to make them unnecessary.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I ran
twice. Thriving. Oh, you did?
I ran twice for Congress, and my first position on both times was single payer. And that's because it would by far do the single greatest help to the most amount of people in the shortest amount of time of all policies, right? So that to me is, because that's instant. That would be an instant fix for so many problems. So it's, to me, that's the easiest one, and it's the easiest one to sell. But there's no doubt it's connected. If we don't have a social safety net, we're useless. There's no point in having a civilization.
Truly. I mean, we're seeing that play out now. I mean, that's the degradation, the fact that, ICE is coming into our streets, kidnapping people left and right. And I mean, I have seen a great mobilization of folks, which I'm trying to pull into the single payer movement too, because now all the old white liberals that live around me, they all want to get out on the streets and blow the whistle when ICE is coming. I'm like, there's more that we can be doing to build. It's not just about fighting this ICE. We have to build what makes ICE unneeded. And
let's leave on this note. And this is the reason why I don't deal with liberals, especially liberals who live in the suburbs.
We don't deal with liberals.
I live in Hollywood. I'm not in a suburb.
Oh, no.
Okay, so the problem with I call them the Jennifer Welch types. It's all about comfort. If they're uncomfortable, they'll do something. And unless that comfort involves seeing something on, let's say, Rodeo Drive that pisses them off, they're generally not going to care. And that's the problem with capitalism. Everyone cares. No one cares until they have to care. It's like, it got on my doorstep. Now I don't have a choice. And that's essentially why, to me, there is such a swath of working class voters that voted for Trump that are so much more in line with supporting this policy than the people who live in West Hollywood, that live in Beverly Hills, that live in Redondo Beach. Those people are way too comfortable and way too affluent. But there's a shitload of people that live in Whittier, that live in Reseda, heck, that live in they live in Watts, they live in Englewood. These people are just not approached. And the reason they're not approached more than any other reason is because they don't have money. And if you don't have
they're
money,
not important to the politicos. Nobody cares about those people.
They're important to us. We're reaching out.
That's the difference. And that's why what the America First movement is going to become, how it will be defined post-Trump, is imperative, because I think there's a hell of a lot of crossover between progressives and libertarians. Now, how that ultimately comes to pass, I'm not 100% sure, but we're working on it. I want to thank you both. We want to thank you both for obviously coming on this evening. We will drop a clip. Gina, Mark, keep doing what you're doing. We will do all we can to assist. Go Butch Ware.
March 20th, guys. March 20th. Be in Sacramento or
Sacramento State Capitol. Come tell Newsom he's not going to get away with it this time.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for having us. It's been an honor. This is wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Take care.
Well,
no, we need to promote that stuff as much as possible. We haven't as much in a while, but we used to do a lot more where we'd have we're working on him, Travers. Peter likes to sort of fancy himself a libertarian. That's okay.
You speak not of what you know. You stick to what you understand. And I don't want to hear you talking about what I believe and what I don't believe.
Stop doing that. Travers, please stop instigating.
Part of the reason why we have to have some type of a revolution in this country is because those that actually serve our country, as we saw with Brian McGinnis, are being treated like trash. But he's not the only person being treated like trash.
Who else?
Well, apparently a veteran in the state of Florida is also going through a very similar situation, Jen.
Oh, guys, this one's bad. I can't believe this. Like, I can't believe that I came upon this the way I did and I hadn't heard more about this. So, I don't know who is anyone familiar, but there is a gentleman. Do we have it? There's a clip. So if we play the clip, I think that it explains it. This guy, I believe,
veteran who has spent the last decade fighting for legal status in our country has lost his federal case. Former U.S. Marine Paul Canton took his citizenship battle to federal court after being repeatedly denied legal status, even though he served this country, our country, honorably.
And now this veteran's battle is over, and he fears deportation is next. For nearly 2 years now, our I-Team investigator, Katie Legrone, has been listening to Canton's struggles to become an American citizen. She even brought his case to a pair of U.S. Congress members, both Democrat and Republican. New tonight, Katie is following through on the citizenship fight that attracted nationwide attention.
Florida veteran Paul Canton is heartbroken.
What are you feeling right now?
Lost.
And I just say how much I freaking hate certain people that do media. Jen, how are you feeling right now? Are you feeling like shit? Just want to make sure.
This is when you guys hear this man's story, it's heartbreaking.
Relied on the legal system so that they could go ahead and clarify the law and see what we saw, but they wouldn't even open the case to look at it. They just dismissed it.
After serving in the U.S. Marines during the early 1990s, a federal judge recently upheld a decision to deny him legal status here, officially ending his decade-long fight to become an American citizen.
Now, what he needs to be doing, in my opinion, I cannot stare at that face. That's too much.
That's a horsey face.
It's not even that. It's the eyes. It's in the eyes, Chico. What I would want to know is who's the judge, who funds the judge, because you have often said, if there is one thing you believe in when it comes to the judiciary, they should be appointed, not funded. And
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, you got to hear more of this, how sad this story is. Like, it's really heartbreaking. And honestly, I have no idea what this man's going to do. He's still in, I believe he's in Ocala in Florida. But he's going to get sent somewhere. Let this play out, because you'll see he has nowhere to go.
To become an American citizen.
What are your options at this point?
Deportation. There's no other option.
We first introduced you to the former U.S. Marine in 2024. Born in New Zealand and raised in Australia, Canton originally came to the U.S. legally on a visitor exchange visa when he was a teen. Despite overstaying that visa, he was still recruited into the U.S. Marines during the Persian Gulf War, under what he described to us 2 years ago as a broken promise of citizenship when he got out.
I was told if I got an honorable discharge, then I would get citizenship at the end of my tour.
Automatically? And then what happened?
I got out, assumed I had citizenship.
Canton got married, had kids, worked, has no criminal record, and even voted in U.S. elections, assuming he was American. That is until about 3 decades later, during a trip to renew his driver license near his home in Ocala, Canton discovered he was not here legally. According to his attorney, Canton's citizenship denial rests on a U.S. law that grants naturalization to veterans, but only if they actively served during a designated period of hostility. While Canton was recruited.
Are you?
No, it gets worse. Like, this gets so much worse with this man. I can't even.
A designated period of chaos, of chaos or obscurity? What the? Oh my God.
During that period, he wasn't called to duty in the selective reserve until 2 weeks after that designated period of hostility ended.
It is absurd to have someone who served in our military, the Marines, and not be eligible for citizenship through no fault of his own.
We took Canton's case to U.S. Congress members on both sides of the aisle. While both acknowledged the unusual nature of his fight,
he should be treated like royalty in this country.
Sounds like he's done enough to earn the citizenship.
Neither offered any solutions. Today.
Wait a minute. Do you mean to tell me that these two nincompoop federal legislators offered no solutions? Let's just put them side by side. So you mean to tell me they offered no solutions?
I'm so shocked. I'm so shocked.
They Gus Bilirakis.
I don't know. And I see you there, Ricky, in the chat, that he needs to get out and realize he dodged a bullet. And that might be, but he's got nowhere to go. So let's let this play out.
Back to South Africa or Australia? Which one?
Offered any solutions. Today, Canton is preparing to be forced out.
Funds have been set aside to pay the bills, and then my oldest son, he has power of attorney over me, and so he'll be taking over the house and selling it and selling everything that's in it.
But where he might get deported to remains unknown and perhaps just as surprising. You see, once Canton agreed to serve in the U.S. military, America stripped him of his homeland citizenship, essentially leaving this veteran widow and dad of 2 stateless.
I don't even have any identification to prove who I am.
You have lived as a proud American, as you've described. Has your feelings for America changed?
No, it hasn't. It's just the bureaucracy and the way I just feel kind of betrayed. I would like to get what I've earned. I'm not asking for anything more.
I am so angry by this. This makes me so angry. I mean, I can't. You have things to say?
I mean, on top of everything else, you're talking about a guy who, again, served his country. And people think that this is it's predominantly a brown person problem, but make no mistake, we are being governed. We are run by animals. And
his wife died. He's a widow. So he can't stay because he's not married to her anymore. She died. They have kids here. He's been here since he was a teenager. Like, this is
Cheese Rock is onto something. He's going to end up in Ukraine, and he's going to what they're going to try to do is send him back to either Australia or New Zealand, but he doesn't have citizenship anywhere. So I don't know. Let it finish.
Canton's attorney tells us because he illegally voted in the U.S. elections, he is ineligible for any immigration benefit. So his only option to avoid deportation is for a member of Congress to pass a special bill naturalizing him or for the U.S. president to intervene. I'm Katie LeGrone, Tampa Bay 28.
Whoever, and you all talking in there about the condescension of the reporting, I agree. I mean, it's horrible. It was a local story that I came across, and I just found, I find it infuriating. And where is he supposed to go? And I feel horrible for his adult children. That's insane.
This is why, once again, we are heading for revolution, because even the people that try to do it the right way, who do everything that this country, this very nationalistic country in many respects, wants you to do, he's done it. And then some. And even that's not good enough. Everyone is subject to this.
Oh, agreeable. Agreeable. That's so nice. Thank you. No, I could use all the love I can get. Thank you. I appreciate it. Nobody will come at you for that, I assure you. I can also handle a modest amount of objectification. Before you'll get in trouble in the chat. So I'm just saying, and I won't show anybody my feet, but that came up once. Remember the guy who wanted to see my feet?
Yeah, he wanted to pay you for it. Yeah, of course. Don't think for a second that Jen doesn't like being objectified.
Oh, I'm okay. I'm okay. You could go ahead. You could
pay.
No, I think it was Medi might have somebody deleted a comment where somebody was slightly objectifying me. And I'm like, don't do that. No need to get hasty.
Now, on the one hand, you see just how bad it can get. And that it is tragic. And that is an example, because we don't have too many good examples. And that was one of the good examples that we had regarding Gvir. But if you think that a international story about Israel going down was good, a domestic story of 3 very prominent Israeli bastards also went down earlier today.
Wait, this is a little bit of a celebratory moment, though.
It is.
Guys, we're switching to a little bit of, and until we get confirmation about Ben-Gvir, this will be our sort of happy story.
Guilty. All counts.
Bye-bye.
The Alexander brothers shook their heads no as the verdict was read. And there they are. These 3 men who may not know, the Alexander brothers, they're all Israeli Jewish Zionists living in Miami for many years and New York. And here's the thing. Don't move yet, Colin. You're going too fast. I'll let you know. These 3 men were involved in a real estate deal with, it wasn't, I don't know if it was Ray Dalio, but it was a very rich person when they were in their early 20s. These guys somehow made millions of dollars on selling what at the time was the most expensive piece of real estate in New York City, which I think it was basically 2 duplexes being put together, and the amount was about $57 million. It was absolutely unheard of. Well, I know that's very important to point out.
Well, because the other 2 are fairly good looking. So I'm just looking at it, I'm just looking at the picture. Yeah, the guy in the middle has like a half his head is forehead, half his face is forehead.
Well,
he's not the attractive brother. Let's say that. Of the 3, he's not the attractive brother.
Well, no, the one in the middle is clearly the inbred of the family. So, he's the one that, the gene pool.
I don't know. It's not good.
But we're going to read to you now, if you want to scroll down, Colin, exactly who these guys are and what they've been up to. The Alexander brothers were found guilty of sex trafficking by a federal jury in Manhattan. Much better that it was charged in Manhattan than in Miami. Jury heard from 10 rape accusers who tearfully described being drugged and physically overcome. The 3 wealthy siblings, 2 of whom sold luxury real estate, face up to life in prison, and they will.
Don't let that. Let me tell you, those guys, they better get themselves some soap on a rope. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, they got it.
They're not going to do well. Those boys are not going to do well.
They got some pretty mouths over there.
They're not going to do well on the inside.
They are going to be absolutely torn up in more ways than one when they get there.
Oh, yeah.
A trio of wealthy brothers found guilty of federal sex trafficking charges in Manhattan on Monday in a grand slam verdict, convicting them of each count they faced in a 10-count indictment.
Ooh. Yes, I agree, Henry. They're going to be very popular. The outside 2 are attractive. But yeah, they're going to be very popular.
The jury deliberated for, well, listen, they're not just going to be, they're not going to just be popular. They're not just going to be popular because they are pretty boys. Remember this. Who gets it the worst in prison? Rapists and child molesters. They are the ones.
And bad cops.
Well, that's yes, that would be number 3. But they're going to get theirs. And the fact that they're Israelis, trust me, the word's going out. The jury deliberated for 3 days before announcing a verdict for former luxury real estate brokers Tal Alexander and Oren Alexander, as well as for Oren's twin, Alon Alexander, a former executive.
Alon.
Whatever. Alon. That's what I said.
Okay.
A former executive in his parents' private security firm. Gee, I wonder what that has to do with. That's probably
nothing to see here with the
nothing to see there. Definitely not. And definitely not connected to Israel either. The 3 brothers sat at the defense tables, shaking their heads no as the verdict was read. What? No, you know why they were. And Jen, could you please explain to the audience why these men reacted the way that they did?
Well, they were probably convinced that they were going to walk. So my thought is, whoever was supposed to pay off the judge or figure out how to control the jury or do that, a lot of fail safes have fallen through in regard to what they had going on to try to keep themselves out of prison. So I don't know. I think shock that none of their fail safes worked and they were not able to control the situation financially.
I agree with you 1,000%. I don't think it's a question of them being like, no, we didn't do this. It was, I
can't believe we're going to pay for it. Oh, yeah.
We've never had to pay for anything in our lives. What the hell is this?
Well, there's no remorse. You're not going to get any remorse. And if it was, it would be completely fabricated.
If anything, they're pissed off. Scroll down.
Yeah. They're mad that they didn't get, they're mad that they're being held accountable. I've said it before. I'll continue to say it. There are no more entitled people on the planet than Israelis. There aren't. You want me? Veruca Salt would not compete with a typical Israeli. Like, seriously. So, yeah, they can't believe that this is like the nerve of the world to not serve them. That's why they're shaking their heads.
Colin, please scroll. And as their sons were led out of the courtroom, their parents bowed their heads, then hugged briefly. And the audience says, Alon's wife held her head in her hand in her seat beside them. Sentencing was set for August 6th for each defendant.
So, attention, Alon's wife. Your husband's a rapist.
Your
husband's a rapist. Okay, yeah, onward.
Might want to also get yourself checked for any STDs as
well.
I
would too. Yeah, that's a good point too. I would definitely get yourself checked out.
Any sex trafficking conviction, including for the top count of sex trafficking conspiracy, carries a potential maximum sentence of life in prison.
Wow.
They got 10 counts. They are going to prison for the rest of their
lives.
As they should.
Unless they get Epstein and disappear to Epstein's Island. But in theory, this is first of all, these boys aren't going to last. No matter, let's say hypothetically that they each got 20 years, right? They're not making it that long in prison. Those boys can't live in. Are you kidding me?
Not a chance. Not with the life that
anything long, honestly, for these boys, anything longer than a year, I don't know they'll survive it anyway. But they should get life.
They should get life. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why Aaron Hernandez, I'm convinced, committed suicide, because he went from living the high life in the NFL to being in federal prison for the rest of his life.
Exactly.
It's like, psychologically you break. And that's those guys, considering the life that they were living a life of a professional athlete times 10. That's what they were living.
And now they're going to be some 300-pound guy named Tiny's bitches.
They're going to be.
That's what they're going to be now. Oh, well.
The verdict follows a 5-week trial in which prosecutors called 10 rape accusers to testify, none of whom had reported their incidents to police. I wonder why.
Yeah, this is the fact, right? See, and that is what I mean when I say Epstein on his island, or Brett Ratner, or, you know, any of these other people that seem to be able to find safe haven in pedophilia land of Ziohel.
Here comes the creme a la creme. The women gave compelling, sometimes tearful testimony about attacks in Lux locations in Manhattan, the Hamptons, Aspen, and Tel Aviv. Stretching back to 2008, when the brothers were in their early 20s. Oh, they learned young. They said the brothers used false promises of after parties or fun weekend getaways to lure them into the worst experiences of their lives, being sexually violated through violence or a drugged drink.
See, these boys were raised by a mom and a dad who never held them accountable for anything. They had no chores, no responsibility. Their lives have been just one big like gift. And their parents created these monsters. And when you look at a lot of the people in Israel, that level of entitlement, it's the same thing. They've raised monsters.
When you consider the percentage of the population that's either narcissistic, sociopathic, or psychopathic, and you cluster that into a culture of wealth and decadence that does not believe in any adherence to rules, regulations.
The rules do not apply to them.
No, they're chosen. It's the Jews.
But see, with these guys, it's even much more different than that, because this is much more of an elitist and a class thing in terms of their level of entitlement than it has nothing to do with that they're Jewish. They're probably not even practicing Jews.
Absolutely not.
Right. So this has nothing to do with their level of entitlement. Isn't a Jewish thing. Their level of entitlement is an Israeli thing.
Now, listen, do I think that these little Jewish boys would have Hanukkah and Passover Seder? Yes, that's probably the extent.
So did I. And I was raised by hippie atheists. So
yeah. That's the extent. Like going to synagogue? No. 2 women told jurors that they were drugged and then attacked by 2 of the brothers at the same time. Oh, so these guys are incestuous brothers too. Isn't that sweet? One said the twins took turns raping her inside a cruise ship cabin in 2012. The other said she was attacked by Tal and Elon Alexander and 2 other men. So this was a gang rape situation in the bedroom of a Southampton vacation home in 2009 when she was 16 years old. And you wonder why they didn't go to the police. Yeah. Great. I was wondering why they hated me, the woman recalled, thinking as she fell in and out of consciousness on a bed. All 10 women told jurors in the hours and days after they were attacked, shame and fear kept them from telling anyone but their closest friends.
And we all know that's how it goes. We know that. We all know that. Again, you will not meet an adult woman that has not been violated. You won't. We've all been violated. It's a spectrum. I've never been violated to that degree of the spectrum, but we've all been violated. And once you've been violated, then you see how we've all been violated. So yes, and you feel ashamed and you feel embarrassed and you feel scared and you feel confused and you question whether you may have done something, and yes, that's all natural.
And can we just address for the second that if you're putting the dates up here, these guys, when they did this, were in their mid to late 20s, and this was a 16-year-old. Can we just for a second address where the issue of child rape comes into play and how this is something that gets glossed over? Yes, she's physically developed, but she's still a child.
It's a child.
There's no getting around this. And don't think for a second that they don't target young women. I'm sure she was attractive, but when they found out that she was 16, oh, she's naive. She doesn't know. She'll totally be down for it. These are psychopaths. Like, these are psychotic.
And also a lot of these men have absolutely no real confidence and a lot of insecurity and have to overcompensate, which is why they go at victims that are so vulnerable. Correct. Those kinds of people, they don't have the confidence to be with adult women. They don't obviously feel comfortable with women of their age. They feel threatened by that. So they have to be with people that they can manhandle, control, drug, and otherwise manipulate, which is often you're capable of doing with younger people. That's what makes them vulnerable. So yeah, it's disgusting.
Only when they saw that the brothers were being sued and arrested over allegations like their own did they find the courage to step forward. The women, because that's usually how it happens. So when there's always something to be said for when there's one accuser, one situation. But let me assure you, ladies and gentlemen, when a man or men are accused of sexual violence by one woman, and then it turns into dozens of women, that person is guilty of sin. And no matter how many ways you try to whitewash it, the reason that he's guilty is because all of those stories are ones that have been held back for years, and someone gave them the courage to say, if you can do it, I can do it too. And that's generally how it works. And to suggest that it's only 10 rape situations that have been brought forward, trust me when I tell you, you could probably times it by 10.
Yes.
That's
for every rat you see, there's 50 that you don't. And I absolutely, if they have 10 people testifying,
there's at least
they had hundreds of witnesses and testimony that they had to go through and talk to people and find out who would be the most capable and credible witnesses to testify for whatever reasons. But yes, there were many, and yes, I know there are boys that are in this as well that get caught up in all these trafficking. It is absolutely also boys get violated and men do get violated. I wasn't suggesting they don't. I just think you have a better chance of finding an adult man that has not been violated than ever finding an adult woman that has not been violated. Sure. Like, it's just, I don't know an adult woman that hasn't been violated. I've never met one.
Only when they saw, because this feels bigger than me, one accuser explained, of coming forward now, 14 years after she said she was drugged and raped at age 20 after a party at the Manhattan penthouse of actors as Zac Efron. I'm 34 now, and I know who I am, and I want someone to be held accountable for what happened to me. Defense lawyers maintained that any sex was consensual, of course they did, and that the accusations were the product of regret and faulty memories. Hey, what do you call 1,000 lawyers chained together at the bottom of the ocean?
A good start, I know.
They pointed to inconsistencies about timing and the women's failure to take drug tests or report the incidents to law enforcement, and noted that many of the women communicated with the brothers. The defense also challenged whether the accounts the women described added up to sex trafficking, the charge behind half the counts in the 10-count indictment.
Yeah, you see how it still comes back to whether or not the women were on drugs? I don't care if they were so high. I don't care if they were on an 8-ball of coke. I don't care. I don't care if they were running down the street naked, high on an 8-ball of coke. That does not justify assaulting them. You see that, but you see how they do that? They turn it around on the victim. What did she do? What did they do to incur this? Yeah, that's not how this is going to work.
People like Megyn Kelly.
No, I know. And you know what? That is why it freaks me out that she has a daughter. It's disgusting.
Because
I hope that nothing happens to her daughter where she wants to claim that her daughter was somehow a vulnerable person or somehow taken advantage of, because I'm just going to come out and say, well, if she was at least 15, she's an adult, Megyn.
Well, that's also the problem that I think a lot of people forget about this issue. One of the reasons why a lot of women don't come out is because women like Megyn Kelly will often side with the man, saying that she was asking for it or that this didn't actually happen. And
because those are white women of the patriarchy. Those are the white women that uphold the patriarchy, that keep the rest of us women in the same position that we've been in, always subjugated. And that's because of white women like Megyn Kelly and their bullshit. Honestly, she's gross and has very bad extensions. All right, go on with this.
To convict on sex trafficking, jurors needed to find that the brothers used force, fraud, or coercion, including by secretly drugging drinks, to cause a commercial sex act, defined as sex in return for something of value. Prosecutors said that the something of value was the brothers' promise of a beach weekend at a Hamptons mansion, or an invite to go from a club to a hotel room for a fun after party. I'd say that qualifies. Defense lawyers countered that what was described in testimony was not sex trafficking because, in their view, there was no quid pro quo relationship proven between the lure, the something of value, and the alleged sex.
All these young girls were just jumping for joy to just be with these guys.
Sure. Say what you want. Prostitution's the oldest profession. And if women want to have sex in exchange for goods and services, that's their prerogative. That's my libertarian side saying if it's not hurting anybody.
Well, yeah, I don't care about any of that. None of that bothers me. Well, all that matters is that if they didn't agree to it, which no woman is going to come forward and put her whole life on display for something that isn't true like that. That's what people say. So when they say it, short of you coming up with some sort of psych eval that says they're completely delusional, I'm going to believe them. I'm going to believe them every single time. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt because that is where I will give grace. See that? Because empirical evidence tells me that they're telling the truth. So
I concur. Defense lawyers countered that what was described in testimony was not sex trafficking because, in their view, there was no quid pro quo. So the commerce, the thing of value, must be a result of the sex, argued. Mark this, no pun intended, mark this attorney down, Mark Agnifilo.
I wonder if that's Karen's spouse.
Could be.
She's a defense lawyer. He's a defense lawyer, so it could be Karen.
Same name?
Yeah, that's her. Well, her last name is hyphenated, but yeah.
Sure, why not?
I wonder if that guy, somebody look up and see if this Mark Agnifilo is
Colin, where are you?
Is connected to Karen, who's representing Luigi Mangione.
In July, Agnifilo won a partial acquittal in another high-profile Manhattan sex trafficking case, that of entertainment and lifestyle on. So you can see what a dog shit person he is. He represents people like Diddy. So he's
First of all, don't go after the lawyer. Okay, everybody's entitled to a vigorous defense, and as someone who did criminal defense, even knowing people have done crimes, don't go after the lawyer. You want people to be able to fairly represent Luigi Mangione. You want him to have a fair trial, then everybody gets a fair trial. Do not go after the lawyer.
Fair enough. In that trial, Agnifilo similarly argued that the federal sex trafficking statute was being stretched beyond its original purpose of protecting sex workers. Combs was also acquitted of racketeering. He was convicted of transporting for purposes of prostitution and is serving a 4-year prison term. Hopefully he's getting his.
That's I don't know. That would be interesting. I don't know if he might have some level of protection. Who knows?
These men are one of many. Much like I said years ago when it came to Bernie Madoff, if you think he's the only person who's running a Ponzi scheme, he just ran it to such a gargantuan level, and he did it amongst the Zionist billionaire class. And that's why he had to pay. You see, these things happen all the time. These types of crimes, these types of activities amongst this class of people happens a lot.
Epstein class. It's the Epstein class. And I'm so thankful. And I've never met him personally, but I love Professor Morandi, and he's the one who I started hearing that from. And apparently in Iran, that's what they're calling it. So yes, Iran, thank you for creating that. I love it. The Epstein class, correct.
We're going to conclude with a story that, again, is not getting enough attention right now because of all the attention being placed on what's going on directly in Iran and Tel Aviv. But make no mistake, as Tel Aviv is burning, so is southern Lebanon. And one of the reasons why we are cheering on, if you will, Iran to get this over with as quickly as possible is because of this.
Come across the city to a hospital in Baalbek. This is a pediatric intensive care unit. This is where many of the victims of the Israeli strikes have been brought. Now, we just spoke to, or just saw, 8-year-old Zara. She's in a very serious condition in this unit, being treated by the medical team here. Now, she lost her father, she lost her brother in an Israeli strike on a 4-story building. This is a residential building. And
I'm sorry. I could have sworn I just saw a baby lying in a hospital bed. So I'm sorry. Continue.
If you want to know exactly where this attack took place and why this is so unbelievably disgusting and terrible and inexcusable, at least 83 children are among the nearly 400 people killed in Israeli strikes on Lebanon in the past week.
And by the way, there are more than 500,000 Lebanese people that are displaced because Ziohel gives them evacuation orders. Orders, not warnings, orders. And now they're going in there to kill their babies.
They bombed us. They bombed another school. They bombed a children's school, which is what is in large part responsible for the children's deaths in Lebanon. And what did Mr. Sweeney just say? They are attacking civilian areas. In fact, it's probably all civilian areas. What military is coming after them right now?
They know exactly what they're doing. Okay, Israel has been up Lebanon's ass since its formation. Israel has attempted to go in Lebanon, occupy Lebanon. They've been all over the place with this country. So they know every single detail of that country in terms of what they're hitting and they know that country inside and out. They do. It's not like Iran where they really don't know what they're dealing with. They know exactly what they're dealing with in Lebanon. They knew that they were bombing a school. Yeah. Some grown-ass person sitting somewhere decided that they were going to do this.
And I want to say one last thing before we continue. If it is true that Iran's intelligence knew when to go after Gvir and how to hit him, I can assure you that the US and Israel have the exact same technology, if not more so. So if you think for 1 second that they don't know that they're hitting civilian areas, and more so that they're killing children, they 1,000% know what they're doing. And this is why they need to fall.
I'm glad to hear that, Josie. And I always feel bad saying stuff like that because, you know, there's so many people that can't get out, but it's like, leave the fucking Lebanese people alone. Seriously.
And how about this? The black acid rain that is now falling over Tehran is falling upon a population of 10 million. It will cause cancer in 10 to 30 years.
Absolutely.
And yet, if my friend is watching this show right now, how in the fuck are you defending what's going on over there right now? The Iranians need to be liberated from what? From what? This is what they need to be liberated from?
If the Iranians need to be liberated, and again, big if, it's not from us, okay? We are the most unqualified liberators on the planet. Nobody has ever been more of an unqualified liberator of people than the United States of America. I can't think of another country that has been less qualified in terms of its liberation abilities. So aggravated.
One of her brothers, we understand, is still missing under the rubble. That body hasn't been found. Now, we spoke to her cousin. She didn't want to appear on screen, but like so many people that we've spoken to, she was very critical and very angry at the government and its failure to protect the people.
We are just a little people living our lives. We are not related for anything. We are having this stuff. We're having it. It's very hard for us. There are kids. What do you want from kids, right?
I shouldn't be looking at a PICU on a newscast. I'm so angry. So angry.
And there are people in this country who truly think, well, first of all, how many Americans right now know that Israel is carpet bombing Lebanon? How many of them know that? Probably not very many, because I highly doubt that any of our Zionist-controlled news organizations are allowing any of this information to get out there.
But, and by the way, this does not take away from the fact that they're still continuously bombing Gaza and attacking people in the West and killing the Palestinians and burning down their animals and their trees in Palestine. This is just, and by the way, they're also invading Lebanon.
And by the way, and I don't know how true this is, but I'm going to assume that there's probably some definite truth to it. So apparently some of the rich influencers that are hanging around in Dubai, apparently not only have they fled Dubai, but they left their dogs behind. There is not a big, listen, this is why sometimes I do hope that there is a hell, that there is some type of a hereafter where you have to live in complete agony and purgatory forever. Like, that's basically your soul being destroyed.
And no, I want to tell this lady, you are not little people. You are huge people.
You are.
And I find,
as we said,
make this go. I can't look at a PICU sign.
8 years old and 11 years old. Then we are not related for anyone. We're the government to see this, all the stuff we are living in, right? If we have a government, she should protect us, and they're not protecting us. They are leaving us for something we're not, we can't handle it.
All right. So for people who don't really understand how it is in Lebanon, and I would love to get Rania. I've reached out. It's very hard. You know, and we do have time zone considerations. And yes, I saw people in there wanting me to talk to Laith. I'd love to talk to Laith. Rachel, if you want to reach out to Laith Maroof. And yeah, I would be willing to come on during the day to talk to him since he is in Lebanon. But the people there have been dealing with this for years, right? Like this isn't new what's going on with the Lebanese people. They've always been dealing with can you imagine? They live next door to Ziohel.
Yeah.
Like,
and on top of everything else, and this also gets back to one of the last remaining bastions, particularly in conservative America, that is the reason that there is still defense of Israel, is because the anti-Muslim bigotry is still alive and well in millions of people.
And and by the way, that also very well could exist in places in Lebanon. I don't know. Lebanon is a predominantly Christian nation.
Well, that's my point. That this is a Christian nation. People think that this is a Muslim nation. It isn't.
No, it isn't a Muslim nation. But what people need to understand is in Lebanon, there's two different things that you need to know. First, you have the government of Lebanon. Okay. I do not know what their military is called, but you have the government of Lebanon, and that's who the premier is, or prime minister, the person in charge over there. And then you have Hezbollah. And Hezbollah is essentially that controls very much so, I believe, the southern part of Lebanon. And it's a political organization. And yes, they have military. They represent and have been the only group really fighting against Ziohel on behalf of the Lebanese all this time. The government of Lebanon, for the most part, just sort of puts their head in the sand, and they don't seem to really do much to defend their own people, which is why Hezbollah has been able to be as popular and successful and effective. However, since I want to say, was it in 24, when during the, the siege on Gaza, when Hezbollah and Ziohel got into their little, latest riff, that ended up being very damaging to Hezbollah and setting them back quite a bit in terms of their capabilities and their strength. But what we have right now in Lebanon is you have a government that's essentially wanting Hezbollah to stand down. The Lebanese government is not wanting to defend its people. They have, and it's complicated, and I am by no means an expert on it. But I know that the government in Lebanon is not working in the best interests of its people. Does that sound familiar? And Hezbollah has been trying to do that. And I know that the Lebanese people are not a monolith. And I'm sure there's people in there that are, all over this in different positions. But that's the problem, is that the Lebanese government and Hezbollah, two different things, and are both working simultaneously. And that's something that makes Lebanon just a little bit different.
I made a mistake. We do have one last story that we'll get to tonight. We'll address Jon Stewart on Thursday.
I was going to say, we haven't talked about it, and I'm glad I've let myself cool down, because when I was watching it, I was screaming.
Yeah.
I was screaming.
Let's not get into it. We'll talk
Okay.
about it Thursday. What we have to close with is, Colin, please pull up the story. We have to talk about China. We have to close with China because this is very big.
Which one? I had a couple of China stories.
So there's something that I think people need to understand. And I saw what JD Party had put in the chat. I'm aware of what's going on. So evidently this storm cloud, if you will, this nightmarish hell on earth, oil black rain cloud apparently is making its way into China now. And China, in addition to the one thing you don't do with China more than anything else, China's a very forgiving nation. But if you mess with their success, they are not going to take that sitting down. Their success, their ability to become I don't even know if they care about being the world hegemon, but I think they are definitely intending to be the world's #1 economy. That much I definitely believe. Oh, gave him another 6 months. I've heard that joke.
I'll give you that. Really, that's funny.
A Benny Youngman joke from many
That's a
years
good
ago.
one. I'll give you that Jew joke. That's good.
No popular support. China warns against government change in Iran. Beijing calls for Iran's sovereignty to be respected and demands immediate stop to military operations in the Middle East. If China tells you to stop what you're doing, stop what you're doing. It's not a good idea.
It's not a good idea. They're not an aggressive people. It's like, I wouldn't anger it. I'm just saying, not a good idea.
You go first.
China has warned against seeking government change in Iran amid the ongoing U.S.-Israeli offensive, saying any such move lacks public support. Plotting a color revolution or seeking government change will find no popular support, China's foreign minister Wang Yi told a news conference on the sidelines of an important annual gathering in Beijing. All right, scroll. Let's see what we got. Wang also called for the sovereignty of Iran and all countries to be respected and demanded an immediately stop to military operations in West Asia to prevent an escalation and avoid a spillover of the conflict. This is a war that should not have happened, and it is a war that does no one any good, Wang said. Force provides no solution, and armed conflict will only increase hatred and breed new crises. So the Chinese people are sounding, I don't know, rational. Okay. The people of West Asia are the true masters of this region, and the region's affairs should be determined by the countries there independently, urging non-interference in internal affairs. A strong fist does not mean strong reason. The world cannot return to the law of the jungle. Au contraire, Mr. Chinese person, you have no idea the level of ignoramus with which you're dealing. Wang urged all sides to return to the negotiating table as quickly as possible to resolve differences through dialogue and work to realize common security. See, the Chinese people, I don't know that they can fully grasp the level of really what they're dealing with here, because it's like ignorant children. They're dealing in a room with ignorant children. So I don't know that they're
dealing with a collapsing empire, and they're the ascending empire. That's
exactly
the reason why I always said China doesn't have to do anything. They're just going to fall apart.
But you see, now they're going to have to, because they're not going to allow their economy to tank and their people to get poisoned. So China, he added, stands ready to work with the regional countries to restore order to West Asia, calm to its people, and peace to the world. According to a classified U.S. National Intelligence Council report, even a large-scale U.S. military offensive would be unlikely. And this is, again, U.S. National Intelligence Council report. A large-scale U.S. military offensive would be unlikely to overthrow Iran's military and clerical power structure. And I've said it before. We had Colonel Larry Wilkerson saying it. In every simulation scenario they've run with us against Iran, we lose every single time. Every single time. Like, this is crazy to me. According to the report published on Saturday by the Washington Post, citing 3 sources familiar with the classified document, undercuts President Trump's assertion that he could clean out Iran's leadership and install a preferred successor, indicating that such an outcome would be far from certain. Yeah, it would be, Trump. It would be just like your Gulf of Mexico. It'll be as real as that. Beijing has condemned the killing of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. Wang also maintained China's relations with Russia, which has been criticized by the West for sustaining the war in Ukraine, remains steadfast and unshakable. Yeah, I think we need to stop poking at them. That's what I think. I think we need to stop poking with them because we are so at the gates of finding out with China.
And let's pull up that other article real quick, Colin. The other China article.
So this, and this is what I sort of see in sort of relation to that, because we have people like our president, delusional people, that think that they're just going to go over and talk to them and make a deal. And we've had Iran say that they're done talking with us. They're not negotiating with us, and they have no desire for a ceasefire. So they're done talking to us. And now we're going to try to put out this idea that we're going to just work with China. Yeah, they're not working with us either. They've seen our negotiations. We negotiate like Bruce Willis in The Fifth Element. They're not playing with us. Exactly. So they're not negotiating. So this is, and also let's be very aware that this is an NBC News article. So we have to always recognize the source. Do you want to read this one?
I will do the honors. The U.S. and China running the world together. China says, no thanks. For China, President Donald Trump's use of the term G2 is an acknowledgement of its growing power. But for U.S. allies, it raises fears they could be cut out of decision-making.
So now, again, this is presented by NBC, so take that with a grain of salt.
For President Trump, global power may boil down to the U.S. and China, which he calls the G2 group of two. But China is with a G2, with China, but less enamored with the idea, at least publicly. The concept of a G2, a more exclusive version of the group of 7 of group of 20 forums, was introduced in 2005 by American economist C. Fred Bergston to underscore the importance of communication between the world's 2 biggest economies. Though it was initially embraced by some policymakers, the idea fell out of favor in Washington amid rising tensions with Beijing, including during Trump's first term. Last fall, however, Trump repeatedly used the term G2 to refer to his meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea, without saying how a G2 world order would work in practice. He is set to meet with Xi again when he travels to China later this month. For China, Trump's casual use of G2 is an acknowledgement of its growing power, suggesting that the U.S. and China are global peers and should have equal say in international affairs. But for U.S. allies, it raises fears that Washington and Beijing could cut them out of important decision-making and make deals that work against their interests. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, China's top diplomat, sought to ally such fears Sunday at a news conference on the sidelines of China's annual legislative session in Beijing. There is no doubt that China and the U.S. have a significant impact on the world, but we should not forget there are more than 190 countries on our planet. Amazing. Amazing. It's like the inverse.
China recognizes it. I know, it's crazy. Like, this country actually recognizes the sovereignty and dignity of other nation states. It's fascinating.
World history has always been written by many countries together, and the future of humanity will be forged through the collective efforts of all nations. The G2 concept is a thorny one for China, which bases much of its diplomacy in the global south on opposing the idea that major powers should dictate the smaller ones. It is also reluctant to take on more responsibility for global governance if it means being drawn into conflicts in the Middle East and elsewhere. And West Asia and elsewhere that have stymied the U.S. Wang said China will never seek hegemony or expansion and that it wants to build an equal and orderly multipolar world. Looking back in history, great power rivalry and bloc confrontation have invariably inflicted disaster and pain on humanity. Therefore, China will never take the beaten path of seeking hegemony at its strength as its strength grows. Nor do we subscribe to the logic that the world can be run by major countries. Though the questions and answers at Wang's annual news conference are coordinated in advance, it is a rare opportunity to hear directly from one of China's highest ranking officials. His answers signal how China sees its position in the world and its relations with other countries, including the U.S. U.S.-China relations have far-reaching and global implications. Turning our backs on each other would only lead to mutual misperception and miscalculation. Sliding into conflict or confrontation could drag the whole world down. Though China and U.S. relations have been tested by Trump's global tariffs, he often talks about his great relationship with Xi and has spoken with him twice by phone since their October meeting. It is
Can you
hard
imagine? Can you just imagine for a moment what that must be like for Xi to talk to Donald Trump? Seriously, can you imagine what that must be like? Because I can think of people in my life that it's like for me to have a conversation with them, like it's kind of like teaching lizard to a lizard, teaching math to a lizard, right? Like it's just silly. Like what are we doing here? That's what it must be like for him talking to Trump.
Indeed. It is heartening to see that the presidents of the two countries have led by example by maintaining good interactions at the top level. They have provided important strategic safeguard for the U.S.-China relationship to improve and move forward, and they have brought their relationship back on an even keel after the ups and downs. How much longer is this, Colin?
It's not very long.
Okay.
It ends right there.
Trump and Xi are set to meet up 4 times this year, starting with a 3-day trip to China by Trump, that the White House says will start March 31st. Xi is then expected to reciprocate with a trip to the U.S., and he could also attend the G20 summit in Miami in December. Oh boy, that's it.
I know.
You know what that could be.
I just know that I'm just glad I'm not anywhere in the vicinity.
Yeah, well, if they're going to drop it anywhere, that's where they would drop it. In November, Trump may attend the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit that China is hosting in Shenzhen. I got it.
Okay.
Second time I got it. 2026 is a big year for U.S.-China relations. The agenda of high-level exchanges is already on the table. What the two sides need to do now is to make thorough preparations accordingly. Create a suitable environment, manage the risks that do exist, and remove unnecessary disruptions. One potential disruption to the Trump-Xi summit is the ongoing U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran, which has close ties to China. On Sunday, Wang reiterated reiterated Beijing's calls for an immediate halt to military action. You mean a ceasefire? And a return to dialogue, saying the war with Iran does no one any good. You think?
Well, but again, these are people with reason. I don't know how they can't fathom this.
Seeing the Middle East engulfed in flames, I want to say that this is a war. What?
It's a quote, so I'll let it slide. Go ahead.
I want to say that this is a war that should not have happened. It is a war that does no one any good. Wang also rejected the abuse of force and violations of international law. The law of the jungle must not return and rule the world. Willful use of force does not prove one's strength.
So it's Wang, but I thought Wang was like HG, and maybe that is a similar sound. Like Wang, not Wang. I don't know. So it's Wang.
Something.
I'm trying. I don't mean to ever be rude to anybody's culture or ethnicity or language. I just really.
I said it first. I said it first, not you.
Yeah. No, you did say it first, but I always thought Wang was
JD. I said something wrong first.
Yeah.
And again, it's tongue in cheek. It's a joke. If you've enjoyed this conversation, which we all hope you did, one more time, if you would be so kind, please consider, if you would, going over to patreon.com/revolutionary change. We have a few more super chats to get to. Jen, who do we have on Thursday?
I'm not sure that we do right now. Hold on a second.
Well, that's not good.
Go get somebody.
Citizen Pendejo with the 20 pesos. Jessica not out because Steve is Giants owner and PDF. Well, hey, just the fact that Steve Tisch is not required to leave the Giants, and trust me, as a Giants fan, I've always hated Steve Tisch. And I wish he was no longer a part of the team, Mr. PSL piece of shit. Oh, I didn't.
Oh, come on. That was funny.
I didn't even see what it was.
It said 2 Wongs don't make a white.
Now they're going to think we're against China. Duly noted with the $5. A short video supposedly of Ben-Gvir's accident showed an official run up to the upside down trunk, open it, and grab a suitcase, free us of Zio nuts. We're working on it. And Ben-Gvir is dead. Is Chinese Trump the some dumb
In
guy?
Chinese.
Chinese
Trump is some dumb guy. Okay, please, nobody come after us for being mean about Chinese. First of all,
Jim Talib with the $5. Thank you as always, my friend. And Soon Heaven with 2 $1 contributions to close us out. Thank you so very, very much to all of you guys. Remember to smash that like button. Remember that you are to be subscribed. Share the stream. Like, love, do all those things we ask you to do. We appreciate you all. We love you all. Burn in hell, Ben-Gvir, and free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Good night, guys.